All right. Yeah, so let me know how I can help you. I mean, it's just you and Kathy in here, so we can just bang out whatever you need. Hey, Kathy.
Are you open for somebody to come down and stay down there for a few weeks with you?
I got an extra bedroom. My parents are coming in about a week, so I'm excited for
Mm,
that.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I thought about that after we talked last week. I thought, man, it'd be cool to go down there and just, you know, take a little time and
I'm thinking about maybe putting together a package. I have a house in Tulum where everybody could maybe come down and we do some sort of like mastermind for, 3 or 4 days and we all stay at my house. Um, I'd have to see who's interested in that. Um, and we could put together some stuff and go through this like one-on-one,
that'd be that'd be
and
cool.
yeah, I'd have to figure out like the cost and how everybody would get here. I could organize some sort of transportation for everyone from the airport because we run Airbnbs down here. Me and my girlfriend, we have a property management company and she manages everything. But I'm thinking about maybe using my house. It's a 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom, two pool penthouse that, we could all stay there, and it just depends on how many people want to come, how many people that would interest. And
Mhm.
then I got to look at, okay, how much does it cost for everything? Um, this, that, and the other thing. But I'm
Yeah,
thinking about doing that. Maybe I'll
that'd
send
be
an email out
that'd
to
be
everybody.
cool. Well, my week, I've been going back to something that I feel like I can go out and talk door to door to people. I just need to get something going so that I feel comfortable. Uh, I don't know why it's a big hang up for me because I've sold stuff all my life, but I guess it's just the lack of being able to, I could build a website, but this automation stuff has got me flipping in circles.
Well, I'll tell you this. For a year and a half, and I think I told you this last week, is
Yeah,
I was flipping in circles. And I really realized that I don't want to build anything. I just want to sell. And
yeah, yeah.
when I joined the Go High Level Mastery with Adam and Brendan, I was a little nervous. And Brendan, I mean, Adam will tell you this every single time. So when I first joined, I told him, dude, how many people, like it was a 40, at that time, it was a $47 1 month trial. And then it was, I think, $297 a month. And I was nervous. I was like, I don't know these guys. I don't, you know, how are they gonna be able to help me? I thought it just another coaching program that they take your money and they just package together cool stuff, but you don't see results, right?
Yeah,
And when I joined, I haven't left. And
yeah,
I was in that position of, okay, now I'm paying $297 a month. I at least got to get 300 bucks to make this for free. And I couldn't for a year. Like from October until August, I just couldn't. And I was in the same position as you. I was just frustrated. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like I've sold everything my whole life and I just can't figure this out. And I kind of repeat myself when I talk about this stuff, but it's like I didn't have a process, and I went back and I looked at like what was happening at my corporate job. They were giving me the leads and they were giving me data. I was getting data from the pharmacies, I was getting data from the hospitals, so I could make educated decisions of where to go. And that was what I realized that I was lacking in this because it was like the world is our ocean. and like where am I supposed to go and like run with it so I can get some traction.
Mhm.
And I kind of worked backwards of like, okay, I remember working, the company I worked for was called Hologic. And I remembered working and like what did I do? I would download the CSV file of Excel. I would find what laboratories they were sending to, which the majority was either Quest or LabCorp. And I knew that if they had both of them, Quest defaulted to our testing, which meant that they were if the LabCorp numbers were lower, but the Quest numbers were high, they were not working. They didn't have the doctor's offices, the OBGYNs, the surgeons, they didn't have congruency between the tests. So they were getting two different test results based on where the insurance decided to send the tests. And that was my in. My way of going to the doctors was like, Doc, you're using Quest and you're using LabCorp, but why do you like to get two different types of tests? Like, why don't you have congruency between the results? And they were like, what do you mean? And that was what I was missing in my agency is what was the pain point that I could call them out to where they start asking me, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Mhm.
And and I just kept working backwards. And the working backwards for that in my agency was, okay, where do I get this data? Because I need to be able to make the decision based off of some sort of data. And I looked around and I remember this guy, Neil Patel, who I learned how to make websites and do SEO and do affiliate marketing. And he would always say, look at buying keywords. And what that means is like, I don't know, back in 2016, when I was working at the same company at Hologic, I used to have little side hustles. And that was, I made a website called thenutritionalsource.com. And basically what that was top 10 lists of best vegan creatine powder for to work out. And the niche was vegan people who work out. And they would come and I would, because I used to work at a medical company, I used to read clinical trials all the time. And when I remember first when I started reading clinical trials, they were written like Shakespeare. They're not really easy to fully understand. So I would watch this guy, Neil Patel, look at his blog, learn SEO, and write a clinical trial in the form of a story, but then put affiliate links in it. And those buying keywords, which he would talk about, and there was another guy named Brian Dean with backlinko.com, and they would say go into Google keyword planner, and a buying keyword is like the best vegan creatine powder or side effects of whatever, right? Because those people that are searching for those words are at the last part of their buying cycle, and you just need to plop it in there to give them a reason to buy, and they would click your link and go to Amazon, right? And so when I started putting the pieces together of like, okay, I did that in my work. I did that with this little blog that I had. I used to make maybe like $1,000. I put way more time into it than I was making money.
Mhm.
But I learned how SEO works. I don't know, I'm sure that SEO has changed since 2016 till now. But I was like, okay, there's a combination of similarities here. I need to find people that are interested in buying shit instead of trying to convince them, because that's what I was really successful at.
Mhm.
And from there, it begins to stack. And then in August, I went to meet Adam and Brendan at the event in Los Angeles, and I said the exact same thing that you were saying. I need to make money from Go High Level. I know how to sell, but I don't have a clear path of how to do that because you see the next shiny object and you're like, oh, I could do that. I could offer a loyalty program to restaurants and use boomerang meat.
Yeah,
Or I could just go and sell Google reviews. And then you
yeah,
kind of get lost in a tangent. But and that's what I was doing for so long. And when I took a step back, I was like, I need to find the buying keywords. I need to find out where these people are. Like, I would rather just capture them at their final moment of making their decision and just plot myself in front of them. That's where I started looking on LinkedIn. Upwork is Upwork is the most amazing place, right? Now I started getting a bunch of clients on Upwork. I mean, I have been making from Upwork, I have sold about 90 grand worth of custom builds in the past 5.5 months. And I just submitted a $38,000 proposal on Friday with Adam and Brendan. We had a meeting with the guy, all from Upwork. And those people on Upwork, whether it's Upwork, LinkedIn, Fiverr, YouTube, or anything like that, they are at the
Everyone in
they
our
are at the
country
final
will
stage
prosper.
of
Every family
what's
will
it called?
thrive.
I'm gonna
Every day
mute
will be
somebody.
filled with
Somebody's in.
opportunity and hope, and also filled with a thing called the American
Well,
dream.
now
Maybe you're not
you,
hearing.
I just muted you because it was loud. And so the buying keywords right there are the ones that you can capture right away and just plop yourself in front of them, right? And so, um, hold on one second. Join the Zoom call. And when I started doing that, there was another opportunity that popped up that this whole step process came about. Now, the the meeting aspect where I get paid $250 up front before I do any work for anyone is the most key factor to closing these deals. And I'm going to explain to you why, but before I explain to you why, I'm going to explain to you how this happened. So when I used to go to the doctor's offices, I had to qualify them, right? I had to make sure it was so much easier to just go in and say, Doctor, why are you using two different tests if you're sending to two different laboratories? Like that just sounds stupid. And it's logical. Like, why would I use two separate tests, right? Now, if a doctor wasn't using Quest, that meant that I had to convince them to use our test. Quest is a national laboratory and they're huge. It's either Quest or LabCorp. Then you have Sunrise, you have like the local labs where I can't even remember the names of them. There were so many local labs and they were just like taking up the easy low-hanging fruit from doctors and they were giving them like, if you use our lab, we'll put a TV over here, we'll take you out to lunch and it was kind of like bribing a little bit. It wasn't allowed to happen, but it did. And so I just started focusing on that data and looking at where where are the clients that I can just go in and create this problem that they didn't even know they had of why are you using two different tests. And when that started happening, or when I started to look back at that, I was like, okay, when I go on Upwork or when I go on LinkedIn to find somebody for my agency, how do I mimic that same thing? Right? Now, I was new to Upwork. I have the Airbnbs as well. So when you start out a new platform, you feel as if, well, I don't have like results, so no one's going to choose me, right? I don't have reviews on my Airbnb. If you open up an Airbnb profile, you think that, I'm not going to get any business because no one's going to see it, right? Well, the platforms, they they have to give everybody a fair chance because if they didn't, no one would come to them, right? So they have an algorithm. And when I was reading about it, learning about Upwork, and really this is kind of like along the whole playing field of Instagram, if you post a video with no followers, they're gonna project that video to a bunch of people, and then it's based on you. Is your content good? Are people actually watching it? If it's not, we're not going to keep pushing it, right? There's some sort of rating system that allows that. And Upwork is really heavy on reviews, right? So they have a business. If you have a bunch of reviews, same with Airbnb, if you have a bunch of reviews, but you have little complaints, you have 5-star reviews, they fall onto the 80-20 rule of 80% of their money is going to come from 20% of their best people. And so I knew that in Airbnb, and I knew that going into Upwork. But how could I sell something on Upwork with no reviews? And this is where the $250 call I created came into play. I go into the meeting and I tell these business owners, listen, you have a lot of people that are coming here. You have a lot of people that are coming here that are going to try to sell you something. And in order to make sure that this is, a viable option for you, you need to have you can't get a price. So I know you're going out there and you're talking to a bunch of other freelancers, I'll call them, because I call myself a freelancer, although I'm not a freelancer, but it's a common word to tell other people, right? It's not. We are like a fractional development team for their business, but if you go in with that, you're not gonna you're gonna go over the top of their head. Just keep it stupid and simple, and it's just you're a freelancer. So I always tell them, and this plays two parts in this situation is one, you get a review, and two, you complete the contract on Upwork so you can work off of Upwork without breaking their guidelines. And that's where you can charge more money and they don't take 10% out of a $38,000 build, right? And so you go into it and you kind of like throw the other freelancers under the bus in a respectful way of, listen, this is how we operate. This is how you can only operate in this world because one, let's just say I don't perform or you don't like me or I'm too expensive or whatever it is. You're going to have to go back and you're going to have to waste your time over and over and over again interviewing other freelancers. So this is going to kill two birds with one stone. I charge $250 for this document. This is the document. It's I can show you, you know what it is, but just for this purpose, this document basically is just going to go through and capture everything from your goals and your desired outcomes and your customer journey. And what this does is it's going to basically just put everything in your head on paper, and it's going to allow me to come back to you and give you a price, right? And so in the sales process, this does a couple of things. It does two or three things. One, it allows me to get a price for them. Two, it allows them to have an option out where they do not feel sold to because it makes logical sense. People aren't logical, but when you start to position yourself as logical, meaning you're giving them an option to make the decision of whether or not they want to go with you. If I went into this and said, I'm going to give you a price, you're going to pay $250, and I didn't tell them that this is going to cost this much, they would look at it. You put yourself in their shoes, they would look at it like, this guy's going to charge me $250 for a proposal. That, like, who does that? But that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't position it as that, but you go through and you show them this and you say, look, Mr. Client, this is going to allow you, instead of going back and forth and all these other freelancers that you've spoken to that keep telling you, yeah, it'll cost $6,000. How do they know that it would cost $6,000? Right? And so that right there is the same equivalence of me going into the doctor's office and saying, why are you using two separate tests? It makes them sound stupid for not doing this and paying $250 for it. It puts it in their court, and now they're like, yeah, that does make sense. Why? I mean, how could someone tell me a price without having this? This is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. And it's like, yeah, exactly. That's my point. The only reason I charge this is because it takes me time. And every single time I say that, they're like, oh yeah, of course, that makes complete sense. Like, I don't want you to do this for free. And now you've just built a relationship outside of selling, but they don't know that they're being sold to because they want to buy. And when that happens, they already have trusted you because they paid you 250, and now they're in a situation where it's like now I'm jumping out of myself and putting myself in their position of, huh, this guy, I mean, he did it pretty quickly. He knows what the hell he's talking about. He's right. If I have to go back and find a new person, they're never going to take this document and send it to another freelancer. They're just not. It's just stupid to do that. They're already in with you and they don't feel sold because every other freelancer on Upwork is going in and they're saying, yeah, we can do this. I totally can do this. I have an entire team. We're going to put you through onboarding, and then you're going to be partnered with a project manager, and it's going to cost $5,000. Do you want to sign up right now? And we have, if you pay in full, you get a 10% discount. That's that that's like super pushy, but the freelancers don't know how to sell this properly. And my point for you is forget about any of the builds, the websites, the AI, the Google reviews, the automations, the calendar, locking in leads, speed to lead. Forget all about that. Because if you can get really, really good at organizing this meeting and just getting people on a meeting, you have a business in itself. And what I mean by that, for every 4 meetings you're making $1,000. And it's like extra credit on an exam. They have a question that's worth 10 points. You go from a B to an A. If you get it correctly, it can't hurt you. And so if you get super, super good at just getting on these meetings and charging 250, inevitably you're going to close deals. Out of those 4, you might close one. You made $1,000 up front just for having a meeting and organizing this document. That's it. But now at that point, when you get to a point where the person is like, yeah, I want to do that. So out of 4, you close one, you instantly make $3,000 to $5,000 when you're handing it off to Adam and Brendan. And so when you come into this Zoom room with me and you say, I really need to nail something down, this is your North Star. Your North Star is to get really, really good at getting people on a meeting and building out this project scope document. Because at that point, paying Adam and Brendan and joining the partnership program is no longer an expense. It's now an asset to you. And you now have a full team to where you can say, look, Mr. Client, my job in this entire situation is just to get this down. And this, what we just did, completely organizes the communication process between you and our developers. That's the reason why we built this. Now I'm going to pass you to my project manager the same way that every other freelancer does it, but they feel very special. They feel like you're paying attention to them because they told you what they needed built and you just built it for them. You're not acting as someone that's like, well, you need more reviews because your SEO is going to go up and it's going to drive money for you. Let them tell you what they want. It doesn't matter. And when they tell you what they want, you now can raise your price. And you can talk shit about the other freelancers and say, yeah, those guys are selling cookie cutter software. That's not going to help you. They're trying to make you conform to their way of doing things because they have it all in a process. That's why we're expensive. You told me in the meeting that you had 10 leads at minimum per month fall through the cracks because you just didn't answer the phone. And each checkout price, each amount of the amount of money that you make from there is 10 grand. That's 100 grand a month that you're missing. This is going to cost $23,000. And they're like, 23 grand to make 100 grand? Wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And at that point, you now hand it off to Adam and Brendan, and you don't have to touch it again. You don't even talk to the client. You're just focusing on getting those meetings. And so that's how I was able, this is exactly how when I was in my corporate job, I was able to travel the world. I went and ran with the bulls in Spain for 11 days without telling my work, and I still exceeded my quota because I figured out a process that worked. And what I used to do was I had a credit card and I had unlimited amounts of budget to spend on lunches for doctors and whatnot. So I would go to the LabCorp rep based on the data, because I was the manufacturer, and each one of the laboratories was basically like my distributor. I would take the rep out to lunch, and I remember this girl, Lindy, she was great. I wish that she would watch this video. Lindy and I went out to lunch one day, and I was automating stuff before we had like what's it called? Go high level. It just wasn't automated, but it was using people to get what we needed to get done in a strategic fashion, the way that I'm explaining to you. If you think backwards and you just look at things, how they need to operate, if you get step one down, you can move forward and keep stacking on top. And so how I was able to leave and travel without my boss knowing, but still kill my quotas. I took this girl Lindy out. I took a bunch of people out. We would partner up, and I'd say, look, I work with Quest, I work with LabCorp, I work with Sunrise, I work with every lab. I have no incentive to steal business from them and give it to you, or take your business and give it to them. That's not what I do, because there's so much business that's around there. But I've been looking at the data, and I would show them, if it was the LabCorp rep, I'd show them the Quest data, and then I'd show them the LabCorp data. And I remember sitting in a diner with Lindy and saying, Lindy, you have a ring on your finger. Why do you work? What are you saving your money for? And she was like, what do you mean? I said, you have kids? Like, what are you doing? She's like, I said, how much money do you need in the next 90 days during this quarter? And she's like, well, me and my husband are saving up to remodel our kitchen. And I said, okay, how much do you need? And she goes, well, we need 30 grand. And I'm like, okay, let me show you something. I took out the Quest numbers that I got, I'll call it illegally because I got it from the Quest rep. And I said, look, Dr. Libowitz in Bensonhurst, he is selling, he is selling, $1 million worth of HPV testing, which is what I used to work in cervical cancer. He's selling all of these tests right here because he's just sending it to Quest. Now, this is getting a little technical, but it's kind of a cool story. The guidelines for cervical cancer treatment, you for any woman under 30, you basically would run the test together because they're active in relationships. And so it makes sense to do that to prevent cervical cancer. So what I found out was that the doctors were not following the guidelines from ACOG. And you could see that in the data because it should be a 1-to-1 ratio, not for every one, for every 10, only 2 other tests were run. So I said, how much is your commission that you get from this? And she was like, if you could get me to the point of what they're doing at Quest, because it was dependent on which insurance. So it wasn't, even if you had an insurance that Quest couldn't send, they had to send it to LabCorp, like it was in network with the insurance. So the doctor wasn't congruent with it. And hopefully you're keeping up with where I'm going with this, and it makes sense. But I basically just asked Lindy, hey, what do you need to make your money for? We looked at the data and we just came up with a game plan. And in 30 days, she made like $45,000. I mean, in 90 days, she made like 45 grand just by looking at the data. We didn't have to go around all these other doctors and offices and sell allergy. She wasn't selling allergies because I only sold the cervical cancer equipment. She sold, BRCA testing for breast cancer. She sold allergy testing. She sold blood tests. She had a million tests that the lab could run, but she couldn't focus on one. And I said, just take 90 days off and just work with me. Take my credit card anytime. And then this is how I got out of working. Take my credit card because she had a strict budget. Take my credit card, go and buy as many lunches as you want. My boss doesn't care. We have an unlimited amount of budget. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go to the meetings with you. When you're in the meeting, FaceTime me, call me, and I'll talk to the doctor. And I would just sell it for him. And all she did was spend my money from my work. It was in everybody's best interest to do that. to get in front of the doctor. And then I just FaceTimed them while I was in Spain and Nicaragua and traveling, just talking to the doctor on FaceTime. And the doctor was like, this is way cooler. I'd rather just do this instead of you guys come in here and waste my time. And I just sold so much. And I did that for every single rep. And I got really good at building a relationship with the rep, giving them my card, getting me in front of the doctor on FaceTime. And all they had, and the coolest thing was, all they had to do was change a stupid little code inside their EMR system. When they hit go, it just decided in the ICD-10, code that was sent to the lab, which one would be run. And then it would be on ours. And that was it. And I just got really good at just making a relationship with my reps that were the distributors to go out and do all the work for me while I just went and ran with the bulls. I was hiking volcanoes in Nicaragua. I didn't do anything. My bosses never asked me because they saw money being spent on my credit card and they saw my quota being above the 100%. And I was getting paid a commission off of it with my salary. And that's how I did it. And that's the thought process I had when I went into this agency life of how do I just get really good at one thing where there's a snowball effect? No matter how many people I get into a $250 meeting, I know inevitably it's going to bleed over and do that. And now I have Adam and Brendan to do the work for me. And that's where like you don't even have to think past that. Don't think about the building. Don't think about how you're going to manage them. Don't think about how you're going to do the customer support, because you already have that. You just haven't paid to be a part of the membership yet because you haven't focused on getting these $250 meetings. And so with those $250 meetings, dude, if you can get 10 of those a month, you're going to close four per month. And that's 12 grand a month right there. If you're selling them for 10 grand, you're going to make 3 grand each off of each one. And for every 4 meetings, you're making $1,000 just from selling the $250 thing. So, and if you don't have my online course, like I'm a visual learner and I learn from watching other people do stuff. I'm not good at creating a framework. Like if you know Russell Brunson, he has all these little, cartoon characters of the framework. I would love to do that. I don't even know where to start or how to do that. So I just have all of my sales calls in there that you can go and listen to like it is a podcast. And it's kind of up to you to figure out the cadence that you would go through. But I have so many videos inside that membership area of all my sales calls that over time, if you just watch the first 20 the first call conversations, each one is about maybe 30 minutes. So you could probably spend 10 hours just listening to them. And you will start to see like, I see how Nick is doing this. Then once you start getting meetings, now the next step is how do I build that project scope document? And that right there, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. It's taken me maybe 3 or 4 months to get through it. You have to have a little bit of an understanding of Go High Level, of how it works and operates. But you've been doing this for quite some time, and I think you have an understanding of Go High Level. Now you have that foundation underneath you. And when they ask you a question, well, if someone comes to my website and they fill this out, we have it hooked up with Zapier. How would we be able to keep track of that? And you can say something like, well, I mean, that's easy. We can just add a tag. And if they show up to the meeting, we remove the tag and add a new tag that says showed up to the meeting, and we can use a trigger link. I'm making it up, but you have kind of that foundation that you can answer the question in an educated way. And at that point, they're like, oh, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And it really just becomes a conversation. And opportunities will present themselves to you. They will start to present themselves to you. You won't have to start looking for things. And with that $250 document, now you're beating the algorithm of Upwork, because now you're getting these reviews, and Upwork is like, man, this guy's doing really well. Like we should start showing his profile more often. Like he's a good client. He doesn't have people complaining. He's not getting negative reviews because you're just fulfilling that. You're building a relationship with the person. They're happy to pay you the 250, and then you just hand that off to Adam and Brendan. Um, it's and I told you how this all happened is I was just trying to get as much reviews as possible to beat the algorithm. So I just started charging to get on it, and it just turned into that. I didn't like sit down and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. It was how did I do this previously with the nutritionalsource.com where I got affiliates to go to my website and buy shit. How did I do this with my diabetes company that I was working for prior to the cervical cancer? And then how did I do this in the cervical cancer? And it was like I had I made educated, informed decisions based off where the data was. And I got really, really good at that part and that part only. And then I started to think, like, how does that work here? Okay, just go find out where these people are sitting. I never in my life have ever done cold calling until I got into my own agency. I was calling people, hey, I just wanted to ask you this question. I got hung up a million times, and I'm like, man, screw these people. They don't even know what they're missing out on. And I'd have to call 1,000 people, and I still didn't get like a yeah. And I had this webinar. I'm running a webinar every day to sell the course that I have that you guys can buy, right? That's another side of my business. It's more along the lines of like, I have this, I might as well just teach everybody. But somebody asked me, like, I don't understand how this would work in if I'm cold calling people. And I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't work. You can't call somebody and say, hey, you have this problem that you don't even know about. I'm going to charge you 250 to get on a Zoom call. Like there's no way you could cold call somebody and charge them $250. You'd have to call 1,000 people and maybe you'd get two people to do that. And those two people were like, oh yeah, you know what? We were in a meeting last week and we were talking about we need to automate stuff. It would be so hard to find those people. Well, those two people out of 1,000, those are all the people that are on Upwork. So the people on Upwork are the 1,000 people out of 10 million because they came to Upwork. So you funneled it down, right? And so that's the way that I look at this. And that's how this all came about. And that's how it's been successful for me in such a short period of time, is because I've started to focus on building out this simple project scope document, charging 250 for it. And out of every five, two or three people are going to buy. And I just keep making $1,000 for every 4 meetings. And that's really what it's turned into. I know that was a lot, but I hope that helped you. Yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
It's
You're
back
on.
on. Okay. Do you have an example of that form that you fill out for people? I know when I was in the mastery group, I seen all those when you first started recording those things on Phantom. I'll listen to two or three of them, but not a lot. But do you have an example in your program that you sell of the form so you have an outline?
Yeah, let me show you what this looks like. So when you go into the course that I have, right? So I'll click on products. Right now we have there's a bunch of people in here. There's 78 members in the live sales call, right? So here, when you go in, this intro is basically me explaining what I just explained to you and what you already know of the three-step process. But here are the discovery calls that I have. These are the first calls that I have to sell them the $250 document. This is like you go to Upwork, right? Let me pull up Upwork. Let's see where this is. So if I go to find work, right? Um, somebody will post here. make.com automation specialist for chatbot, social media, and content. This is a perfect person. They're probably new to Upwork, their payment's not verified, but I would apply to something like this, right? AI chatbot development, $2,000. Um, you know, like all these right here. And so when I go here, I come in and I start to work with the client and just listen to what they say. So like, you know, this guy the other day,
I
Craig.
guess I'm not seeing the screen. I'm just seeing people.
Oh, scroll over here. Let me stop sharing and reshare. Dustin, what's up, my man? Can you see my screen now?
Maybe I got something set wrong. I'm going up here in the corner. Just hide, self view.
Okay, there should be a tab at the top of your Zoom that you click on and it says Nicholas Durso sharing his screen.
Uh,
Let me
hide.
ask you, can everybody else see my screen?
I can see you fine, Nick, and I'm
Yeah.
looking for myself.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the.
Inside Zoom, click go back to meeting. And
Okay,
at the top, there might be a tab that says Nicholas Durso, like you would have in Google Chrome or
okay.
Safari.
I moved all our pictures out of the way, so I see it now.
Okay. So this right here inside the course, you know what? Let me show you how you would see it. This right here is basically all of the sales calls that I have with these people, right? So like this one right here, this is the $38,000 proposal we sent out on Friday. And so this is a 43-minute call. Usually I try to keep them between 10 and 15 minutes. This guy was he was he didn't understand his own business and I had to kind of like bring him back. But this first call is every single thing that you need to do. And you end that call with, okay, I have an idea of what your business looks like. Here's what we do. What we need to do is we really need to get organized and we need to figure out the goals and the desired outcomes of what you are looking to build. And then we build that out in what we call your customer journey. And that turns into your pipelines. And each pipeline has a corresponding workflow that basically has a trigger, a goal of and of what needs to happen to move them in the pipeline to getting them closer to paying you. That consists of booking a meeting, watching a webinar, internal notification to your team to get them on a Zoom call, whatever the case is.
Do you
And
have to
so,
write all that stuff down for Adam built that, right?
yeah, so I'm
That
gonna tell
list?
you, I'm gonna tell you. So what we do is, I'm acting as if you're the client. I say,
Okay,
I charge $250 to do this, but basically this is what gets everything out of your head that you just told me, because this call is supposed to be, 10 to 15 minutes to just see if this is worth your time and this is something that you need, right? It gives you two options. It's either gonna allow you to go and find somebody else, just delete my price. And now you don't have to have these, reoccurring meetings and re-explain yourself. You could just send this to a developer and they'd be able to look at it and be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need built. This also allows me to give you a price. Anybody else that's coming to you with a price without this, they're just making shit up. There's no way that they would be able to even know what the price is. And if they did come to you and give you a price, I'd be a little skeptical on how they could come up with a price because they have no idea. And what they're probably doing is they're probably basically outsourcing this to some developer in another country and they're going to act as the project manager on it. And you don't really know if that's going to be built the proper way. This is super organized. It's labeled. So let's say if you do decide to hire me, you now can go and hire somebody else because it's super organized and you're not going to waste money by hiring somebody, coming back to me and saying, hey, Nick, this guy sucked and I need this fixed. Can you help me? And I'd come to you and say, dude, this is not organized. I don't even know where this guy put everything in your system. It would be cheaper and easier just to rebuild this whole thing because the nomenclature and how they organized it, I have no idea where the stuff is. So now you're creating these problems and you're reverting back to choose me, but you're not saying that. right? And so
Yeah.
now they start thinking logically, and they're like, yeah, that sounds, for 250 bucks, you're going to put this together. It gets them into the buying cycle.
Yeah.
And on that same call, you say, look, let's pretend that you are going to work with me. You know, we go through this and you're like, you know what, Nick, I like this. Well, this is what happens. And we start to build out a detailed scope. That 7-page document now turns into a 75-page document. And now it's super organized. This gives you the exact emails that are going to be sent out, the person that's going to be notified, the calculations that need to happen, you know, what the AI is going to say. This is the same client, 75 pages. And at that point, their eyes light up and they're like, wow, you really know what you're doing. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the course. Okay. So that's how you just get them to pay 250. If you can get on as many calls as that as possible and close those deals, you will be making $15,000 to $20,000 a month from just inevitably providing value to them and explaining to them what they need and them wanting to buy rather than you selling anything to them, right? And so you get really good at that, right? And I'll show you what that looks like because it's all literally right here. Look at how many meetings I've had. What the hell? Well, I'm going to go back to here. Look at how many meetings I've had, and I haven't uploaded all of them, but look at all the meetings I've had here, and then look at all the meetings that I've closed, right? It's a little bit less, but I still made $250 from all of these. So then I have here the project scope document training so that you can understand how you basically put together this document. Now I'm going to show you what my chicken scratch stuff looks like, right? And then what it turns into. So I'll go to one of my clients. I'll go to that Brittany one. This is probably my chicken scratch. Nope, that's not it. I want to look for the original document that I did on. It's probably somewhere else. Let me just go back. I'll go to the one or that I did the other day, right? So this is my chicken scratch. I made this, and I did this on the phone on a Zoom call with him in this video right here. This is the video that I did to make, where'd that go? Shit. This document, right? So he runs a school program. He's got an e-commerce website, and I just walked him through and asked him his questions. Now, I don't really know if this is what it would look like, right? I'm just going through and I'm just getting, okay, let's walk through your customer pipeline. You're going to get a new lead. Where do those leads come from? And he's like, well, maybe we're going to do a VSL, school, webinar, book a call. I don't know. Okay, so I'll indent that and I'll put that there. So the main goal is for the new lead to go to the school thing for him. He's like, yeah, okay, how does that work? So then he's like, well, they sign up for a free 7-day trial. Okay, what happens? Well, then they become a paid member. Okay, and then he's selling a high ticket coaching program for like 10 grand. So all the free trial people, they then become a paid member. So if he's got 100 people, you know, maybe 30 people become a paid member. Those 30 people, he's trying to get them on a call to sell them the high ticket thing. So I just go through and I do that. Okay, great. What happens if they buy the high ticket item? Well, we have to get them in onboarding, right? So I'm just walking him through logically the steps that his clients would go through and just putting folders next to it. Like B is a folder 001, 002, 003. I don't really know how this is going to turn out because I don't need to. Adam and Brendan are going to be the ones that handle this. So then I say, okay, now that we have this done, let's see what the trigger is and what the goal is and what needs to happen. So then, you know, he goes through here and he's telling me all this stuff. He's like, oh, you know what? In the free trial, I also need to pay my closers, the salespeople that work for me. I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, but I pay out. Some people buy the annual thing all at once, and some people just buy the monthly. So then he's giving me the prices of what he has to pay his people. So I just write that there. I'm like, okay, they registered for school. We have to keep track of where they registered from, what agent, like what sales guy. The goal is to get them to go past the 7-day free trial and get into the $99 a month program. And then what needs to happen? We need to update the pipeline. We need to see if was it closed by the AI, was it closed by the setter, or was it closed with the webinar, or was it closed with whatever? I don't really even know. I don't need to know how his business runs. What I'm doing is I'm getting this organized to send to Adam and Brendan and the team so that they can go in and they can see based off their skill level of development, cool, this is exactly what it needs to look like. So I go through and I went through, this was a big deal, but you then start finding out like, oh, well, we have to transfer his ClickFunnels to Go High Level with the landing pages. Okay. We need a dialer, which is Wave, which I know what this is. This is a Go High Level dialer for sales teams. And I start building this out. Okay. After that, I told
Did
him,
you type all this stuff while you're talking?
yeah, I just sit there and type. And then he looks at it and he's like, oh, you know what? Actually, go back to 001 for me real quick. I think, you know what? I forgot about the annual commissions. The annual commissions are different because I get all the money up front and the setter is going to get paid more at the end of the week than if it's a monthly. And I'm like, okay. So we went back and did that. Right. And that's all the conversation is. It's not selling. You're not selling. You're just like, hey, what does your business look like? How does it work? Okay. Does this look good? And he's like, yeah. Okay, so now at that point, I now say, okay, look, bro, this is gonna take me maybe like 3 to 5 days. I'm gonna sit down with my team. We're gonna go back. We're gonna watch this recording. We're gonna go through and we're gonna get it organized. I go to my Fathom and then I take the entire Fathom recording and I paste it in this document. And then I paste the entire transcript in case they need to put it into ChatGPT and ask questions of, hey, did this guy say that he was going to do this or whatever, just to make their job easier. So I send it off to Adam and Brendan. Okay. In 5 days later, he comes to me in my Upwork and he comes over here and he's like, you know, well, he orders that consultation through Upwork and then he pays me. And it goes like this, right? So I have all my contract history. So, like, I don't know why my thing is. So, right now, I have 2 of them outstanding. And these are all the documents that I've built. You know, I have 3 pages. I've got 23 of them, right? So I raised my prices from 150 to 250, and then I realized 252 is considered a higher ticket item on Upwork, so I just added $2 to get that whatever. So now he messages me, and I say, "Hey, bro, I'll go to the message. Hey, bro, you know, like." Here's my calendar, book a call, blah, blah, blah. He books the call. Okay. At that point, Adam and Brendan have given me the proposal. They went in and they took my chicken scratch of what I just showed you and they organized everything here. And they just put it in outcomes and they reorganize all of the pipelines, all of this. Okay. This one is 15 pages. Now you'll see this red at the top and the yellow. He told me, you know what? I'm no longer going to do the 7-day free trial because I'm getting shitty clients that are just like, you know, they're wasting my time. I'm just going to sell the $99 item. So a little bit of stuff changed from the time that we made this up until now. All right. So I never even told him the price. He told me, dude, this is amazing. I don't even care how much it costs. I just need to do this in milestones so that I can supplement the busy work right now, because if I can get the onboarding and I can get the school pipeline down, that means I can go out and I can just bang this out and keep getting people in. That's what's taking up my time. He said, I don't even care how much it costs. So I called Adam and Brendan and I said, look, Adam, can you help me on this call from a development standpoint? Because I don't know how the milestones would be split up in the, production of how this would be built. I just need your help. I don't really know. So on Friday, Brendan, Harold, myself, and the client got on a call and he was amazed. He's blown away. Dude, this is exactly what I need. It's exactly what he needs because he told me what he needed and I don't have to sell him anything. He wants to buy it. He's like, he can envision it already. And he doesn't even know that it's going to be $38,000. That's what the proposal is. And he said, you know what? I don't care how much it costs. If we can just break this down into milestones and we can build it like a Lego set, and I'll just keep paying you however much it is because I know how much money is going to come in if we get the bottom piece built and then we can keep stacking it. And now you guys become my development team and we can grow this together. And I'm like, yeah. So the price doesn't even matter anymore because he knows how much money he can make by having us fix the problems for his business. And so right now, they went through, I don't have the document because I actually was playing golf when this happened and Adam built it out on his computer. So he has the newer one, but you know, probably by Tuesday, we'll have the new one and we'll get on a call and he's going to be like, this is amazing. Okay, how much do I have to send? How much do I send you? You know, it'll be 50% of whatever the first milestone is. If it's 10 grand, it's 5 grand he's going to send and the 5 upon delivery. And then, okay, boom, we got milestone 1. Now let's move to milestone 2 with the caller so that you can go and hire more salespeople because the onboarding is at the bottom. He can't do that because his current salespeople are trying to keep up. Now we got that. We get the call dialer and he's going through that. And so inside the course, I have all of that stuff. And really, you don't need to know how to build any of this. And Bobby, you have enough knowledge of how Go High Level works to do this. You just need the structure of how do I get as many phone calls as I possibly can so that I can charge $250 just to make this document and pass it off to Adam and Brendan and join either the $1,000 a month or the $2,000 a month program. Because right now, if you were to join that, that becomes a depreciating asset for you because you're paying $2,000, but you don't have any money coming in. If you have if you have 4 meetings and you're making $1,000 for every 4 meetings and 2 of them buy, which honestly, 50% close rate is not even high. Like I'm at like an 83% close rate because they're telling me what they need. It just comes down to like, okay, is he showing up to the calls? Like, is he telling me that like, if you're not going to show up to the calls, that's probably the reason why. Or if you're here's one thing that I've learned is I'm taking calls in Australia and Israel. Those are 2. The time difference is so messed up that I can't close them because I'm on a call at midnight and they're on a call at 8 in the morning and it just doesn't work. So don't go and get clients outside of your time zone or, you know, I would say 6 hours is cool, but like 12 and 14 hours is not ideal. Because you're either early in the morning or they're late at night. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't closed some of these deals. And at that point, you just hand it off. And then these calls right here. So I'm running this webinar. I'll show you what this client said the other day. This was a $10,000 deal. And this is what the guy said. I'll just play this video for you. Like, this is me closing him in 1 minute and 9 seconds.
But yeah, it's going to be that's a hog of an opportunity. Yeah. What'd you say? It was 10,000 what?
10-7.
10-7. Yeah, dude, that's money. So that business is small, but I think we can.
He said that price is small.
So what's the next step there? So I need to sign the document.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you both of these. They'll come separate. And then what do you want me to put the business name on here as?
Because we have to differentiate it.
Each one will have the name of the company. Yeah, because I have to have, I'll send.
So I sold him a $10,700 product, a $9,400 one, and a $6,000 one. He has 3 different medical clinics. And this guy was like 10-7, that's small. And he bought 3 of them for 3 different products because I simply just went through this process. he was blown away. And every single person that sees this is blown away because they've never seen it before, and it gets everything in their head that they know they need to do, but they don't know how to organize it. And it shifts you from being a salesperson to now being a consultant, and the consultant is allowed to raise their price and not sell cookie cutter stuff. And that's what separates you. And then you start getting referrals and you start going through and you just start building a book of business, and it becomes easy. It takes time, it takes work, but you just have to focus on getting these meetings. If you can get these meetings, I promise you, you will start making a shit ton of money, and
Is
you
there-
don't have any of the work.
You're recording these meetings, so the thing you're typing out are kind of a notes to yourself, but you got a recording of it. So could you do could you take that recording and get notes out of it? Because I don't know how fast I can type. Talk to these people and type at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, if you have all the information in the recording, yeah, you can go back and watch it. When I first started doing this, I struggled because it was a new process for me. It was a new thing. Adam and Brendan are the ones that taught me how to do this. I knew nothing about this, and it blew my mind too. And I'm like, wow, this is a really good activity. Because when I would go and build stuff, Dustin and I spent, 3 months on his boat. Right now, he's on his sailboat, and he had some stuff that needed to be built, and I would just go in and jump in and do it. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm lost. Where did I put this? What did I do here? This is your record of where everything is, so you can always reference back to it. And so when you're writing this out and typing it, yeah. The other thing is that you don't necessarily have to write this out. You can have the conversation and send it to Adam and Brendan because they know how to do it. You're just putting in stuff to just give them a reference of what's coming and what's happening, right? Now, if you want to go and build this yourself, it doesn't matter how you want to do this, but this is the standard operating procedure to work with Adam and Brendan so that it can be streamlined and you're not wasting time and going back and forth. So they're really giving us this SOP of how they onboard their client, and they're teaching us how to do it to make everything streamlined. That way that you're not going back and forth as the middleman between your client and Adam and Brendan. When that happens, the client starts to understand, like, wait a second, is this guy upselling me? He's basically pimping out my job and he's making money off of it. These guys are the real guys that are doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. They know that. I mean, if you go to 7-Eleven and buy a soda, 7-Eleven paid 5 cents for the soda. You're paying 7-Eleven $1.50. You're not going to complain. You know that a soda costs $1.50, but you know they also got it for 10 cents, right? Because they're the distributor and Pepsi is the manufacturer. So that's how business works. I mean, that's just, everybody knows that, but you don't give them a reason to think like that, right?
Right. You gotta be a little knowledgeable or they're gonna say no.
I,
I mean, that's
I
the
don't
reason
mean
why.
to,
Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt. I've been holding my hand up.
That's okay. Go ahead, Kathy.
I needed you too. A little shy about discussing this while it's being recorded. However, I'm just gonna say it. Um, I'm a little stuck too. I know I took off for Christmas, and the only reason why I took off is because I've just spent the last 4 years just busting my butt, Christmas time working, telling my daughter, hold on, and then not being able to make the cookies and everything. And I just want to spend a Christmas with her, right? But now it's back to go time. And my question for you is more on a personal note. I used to be highly successful, right? And when I fell from that, I worked a couple of jobs in different fields. Like I did the solar and I even did insurance. I dropped insurance because emotionally I was dealing with death all day and it just didn't like, if you know me, that was just a drag hearing people say my kids will pay for it and stuff. So I just didn't pursue it. Um, and then solar changed so drastically in California that I guess after 2 years of being in solar, I was burnt out. I had worked so hard and I was still struggling. And I see you can connect with that because you spent a year. How did your mind shift? Because now I'm just like literally stuck, and I can't afford to be stuck because my family going into January, I took the break, but it's costing that break, and I don't know how to, like, I know I'm good at things, but I don't want to fail anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, of
you get
course.
to a point
Of
where
course.
you don't want to, like, especially when you were really good at what you did.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the things you say totally resonate with me because, like, back engineering, all that stuff makes sense. Um, Spot on how you talk to your clients, spot on. But now I'm just like, how do I start? The other thing I'm really stuck on is you guys are all engineers, right? Like you guys all build, go high level, right? Well, in my situation, I came in as a partner. I had partners that were supposed to be building, and I was just supposed to be selling. So last year, I kind of got to know what go high level was, and I usually do extensive training, but my partners were like, oh no, you just go sell, you don't learn. And then my partners, they decide to change what they want to do. And now they're like, Kathy, you need to know go high level. And I'm like, Kathy can't afford to learn, take time off to learn, go high level in and out. I'm just going to have to learn while I build. Like while I get clients, I'm going to have to figure it out like I did with solar. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can't figure it out until you're in the project anyway.
Yeah.
But now, like some things I'm stuck on is like when I go to Upwork, what I can go build my, like I can go watch YouTube and build my thing. Hold on,
Dustin, you want to answer this?
hold on, and then I was telling my college kid to stop talking in the background.
It's
Um,
okay.
and then I don't even know what keywords to look for. So I know how to do the fill out my Upwork thing, but then I'm just totally lost on how to, like, what keywords am I looking for, and I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Dustin answer this, but before he does, you asked me a question of like, how did I overcome this, like, kind of the stagnant thing that I was in. One, Dustin and I and my cousin Seamus and my girlfriend, we were on his boat, sailing from San Diego to Mexico for almost like 2 months. And we just worked backwards. And I was in a position, obviously, that like I had the house taken over by squatters and I lost everything. So I really didn't have a choice. I had to figure it out. Like I didn't have a choice. And so Dustin helped me kind of work backwards of like, all right, where do you want to be, and let's work backwards. And so that's when Dustin and I went and met up with Adam and Brendan in Los Angeles, and that's where everything clicked. And what that meant for me was I'm really good at sales. I don't want to build. There's no way to scale this if I wear all the hats in the business. And so when you mentioned things about partners, I learned that partners are not always good because they can change things. And so you have to have some sort of control. And it's not control in the sense of you're making more money. It's like Adam and Brendan are my partners. They are good at what they do, and there's a synergy there that like it's in my best interest to give them clients, and it's in their best interest for me to get them clients. So there's a symbiotic relationship, like a little clownfish and an anemone, right? The anemone protects them from the harm, and the anemone goes and gets the food or the clownfish goes and gets the food for the little anemone, right? So it's like the anemone needs the fish to get the food, and out of respect, the anemone protects the clownfish, right? That's the same way that me and Adam and Brendan work together. Like I'm the clownfish and they're my little home. And there's no way that Adam and Brendan could pull a fast one on me. Not to say there's no way, but there's no reason to, right? And so they're doing what they're doing, and they're doing it extremely, extremely well. And so we all have Adam and Brendan at our disposal to be their little clownfish so that we can bring the food back to them and they handle it and they take care of it while they protect us because they're doing the onboarding, they're doing the project management, they're doing the billing, they're building out everything, they're doing everything that you don't have to do. And so when you realize that when you're going through your sales process of doing this, is when I went to LA with Dustin and met them, I was like, holy shit, you guys can handle all this stuff. Why don't I just let me just stay in my lane? And my lane is sales. And now I understand that not everybody's lane is sales, and not everybody has the personality for sales. But sales is a learned thing. It's a learned skill. The same way that building is. Building for me, my brain just doesn't operate in the logical sense that Adam and Brendan can do it like that. It takes me a long time. Math, I'm not good at math. I remember learning piecewise functions and all this stuff in algebra in college. And then I'd have friends that we would go out and drink and they'd get an A the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning and they didn't even study. And I'm like, man, I spent like 17 hours in the tutoring room and I still don't understand it. And it doesn't click for me. So I understand the difficulty of sales for people that it's never going to, or the building part that's never going to stick with them. It can, but for me, is like the money is coming from the sales side, so I better learn this. And if you're a human and you can just have a conversation, you can learn sales. Sales is not that difficult. It's just going through this process that I've laid out for everybody right there. And so for me, I didn't have a choice, and I needed to take the hat of building off and put my sales hat on and just wear that hat while Adam and Brennan fulfilled that. And then now I think this is where Dustin can come in and help you. Dustin works in the insurance. He's very, very involved in insurance, but he can help you understand a little bit about like getting out of this and where to focus and how to figure out where to focus in a structured fashion. Dustin, I think you're on mute. I think you're on mute. On your audio thing, change it to your
Check
speaker.
1, 2. There you go.
There you
I had
go.
the microphone. Hey, just to pipe in here, Nick and I have no financial relationship. Just to be 100% clear, we're just fellow buddies and entrepreneurs. Who
Well,
kick
he
around.
pays for the gas on the boat. I don't pay for the gas.
Yeah. I like keeping smart people around, is what it boils down to. And Nick's one of those smart people. Why I think Nick's got a great idea though is he's basically bottled mastery and allowed you guys to be experts without having to figure it out. And then the second side of it is he basically has got all these people who are really, really good at what they do that you get to borrow their reputation and their skills and their brains and their professional services so that you don't have to be an expert. You just go do these little discoveries and then kick it off to the people who know the nuances of building and go high level and building and all these things. They're experts. They're masters at it. You'll never get that good. Like if you spend the next 10 years doing it, you're not going to get that good because that's what they do and that's what they do best.
May I say something so that you can direct the conversation first? I know all that part. That's not where I'm stuck. Because I've owned other businesses where I have my team too. I'm stuck on moving forward and the outlook and things like that. I already got the whole like building and why Adam and them are good. I'm intelligent like that. Where I'm stuck is like I'm stuck at I don't know as a little clownfish, not knowing the building side because I'm a salesperson and I did like beginner training on go high level. How do I don't know what I'm looking for when I'm in Upwork. I don't know what I'm looking for because I feel like I'm not skilled in the knowledge of go high level yet. You see what I mean? Because my partners were the ones that were builders. I was just selling.
I like to get away from technology and just call it end outcomes. Like what are you trying to accomplish? Like everybody in the world is trying to do one of three things with their business. They're either trying to grow the revenue, lower costs, or reduce risk. So I ask, like, what's your real thing? Are you trying to make more money? Are you trying to find ways to do more with less, spend less money? Or is there some like crazy aspect to your business, like a regulation's about to pass, or some law, like something about the change in the world is going to make things harder? And then that's the cool part, is if you ask great questions, you get great answers. So I always come back to, like, if you serve the other person and their interests, you can do anything. Like, I have a great mentor that tells me, if you help enough people get what they want, you can get whatever you want in life. And really what Nick's done is he's found this little crack in the matrix where he allows you to borrow a bunch of brilliant minds and to monetize their talent by you just talking to people and asking them, how can I serve you? How can I help you? And it sounds like you have a great background in sales, and meeting people and having good conversations. And if you ask a few good questions and then walk through this little template he gives you, at the end of that, you can just, between giving that template to ChatGPT and a little bit of mentorship from Nick and others, you can absolutely print money with this. It's a really cool idea.
And
And
what
as
that
somebody
looks
who's
like,
been on,
Can.
yeah,
I believe I can. My background is marketing. Like I've been I started in Yellow Page ads back in the day. I'm a lot older than I look. Um, and I was an award winner selling Yellow Page ads, not for the
boom,
big book, for the tiny book. So
yeah,
I get it. It's just the keywords. Like, when the reason why I was good at what I did was I knew how to find the low hanging fruit. Now, when I go into Upwork, I don't know what projects I'm looking for that are the fruit. You know what I mean?
so
I'm like the
I'll tell
farmer and
you,
I don't know what I'm planting.
I can help you with that. So what Dustin just explained comes down to the customer journey, right? So you're really just helping them automate their customer journey, because that customer journey fulfills those three things that Dustin said. Reduce the risk, reduce the amount of money being spent, because one, with automations now, it's inevitable. You're going to end up getting rid of workers because it can be automated. And number three is to make money, right? And so when you go to Upwork, the things that you can type in that people are looking for that would hire you, and that discussion, that second discussion after they pay you $250, is just their customer journey. That's the entire conversation, because all of that is going to discover what they need built. And you don't necessarily need to know how to build it. You don't need to know the how. And Dustin will always tell me this, and I like this because it's easy to understand, is when you go to a baseball game and you get a hot dog, you don't ask them, how did the pig get slaughtered? Where did the pig get shipped from? What's the meats that's in mixed into it? You just go to the guy and you're like, hey, where's the ketchup? Where's the relish? Boom. Okay, is the hot dog good? Yeah. Like, you're just selling the hot dog with the relish on top. That's it. And so when you go through this conversation, you're just asking them, what's your customer journey? And if they ask you a question, one thing I've learned about in sales, where you can go from a salesman to a consultant, is if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, don't make shit up and tell them, yeah, well, we can do this, we can do that. You say, look, you know what? That's a really great question. And a lot of my successful clients usually ask these types of questions. And as much as I would like to just make something up and tell you that and lie to you right now so that I could fulfill your little need of wanting to know, I don't know the answer to that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask my developer, and we're going to sit down and I'm going to get that answer to you by 3 p.m. today or 6 p.m. tomorrow. And they will respect that as long as you get back to them at 6 p.m. tomorrow. And you say, you know what? I found out the reason, what the answer to that is. And being vulnerable and not knowing a question or not knowing an answer to a question that they ask, and letting them know that, moves you from here to here, right? A car salesman's going to just blow smoke up your ass and tell you, yeah, this, that, and the other thing, right? But a consultant is going to say, you know what? I don't really know the answer to that. I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know that specific answer. I can find out for you tomorrow by 2 p.m. Does that sound good? Cool. And you take it a step further and you say, Mr. Client, what would be the best way to get in contact with you to let you know about that? Do you want me to text it to you? Do you want me to email it to you? Do you want me to make a video for you? Or what would be the best for you? So now that you put the ball in his court, and that just builds rapport to where they're like, ah, that's cool. Okay, I respect that. You know what? Let's move forward with this. I'm gonna pay 250, and then you can revert to that as like, with the 250, I'm gonna sit down and work with my team. That's why I have to charge you 250 because I'm gonna go out and get all the answers for this. That's the whole part of this entire thing. You don't know this, Mr. Client, but really we're kind of building a little bit of a partnership. What ends up happening is I become your fractional development team, and every problem that you have and you don't know how to fix, you come to me. I don't tell everybody that up front, but that's just inevitably what this turns into. And they're like, man, that would be really nice to have something like that. Okay. And you start to just be a human and you start to talk to them and they start to see the relationship that you're building with them. And so your question is like, what do you go and search for? Go and talk to ChatGPT and say, what would I search for? It's probably going to say, look up a business development representative, look up an SDR, look up chatbots, look up automations, look up, Go High Level itself, or look up CRM software, right? And so those types of topics you're going to start to see when you look on Upwork or Fiverr or People Per Hour that the job description or the requirements that they want, they all do have something in common. And what that is, it's not explicitly said inside there, it's their customer journey. That's it. That's what everybody is looking for. They're looking to streamline their customer journey. And inside Go High Level, it's called a pipeline and a workflow. They don't know that because they're not a developer, or they're not a Go High Level expert, or they're not a CRM expert, but they need some way or place to house all of the nuances that happen within their business to move them from one stage on the left to the final stage on the right is where they're pulling their pocketbook out and they're pulling their credit card out and they're paying them. And then you can take it a step further and say, for an HVAC company, cool, they bought the new air conditioning unit. What do you do after that, Mr. Client? Like, how do you have your cleaning services? Do you ever do a cleaning service every 6 months and upsell them to different filters? And they're like, yeah, that's where a lot of the money's at because I can sell, my margins are high. So why don't you have a loyalty program? And now you just upsold them on something that they didn't even feel upsold on because the money is not the issue. The thing that's the issue is they don't know how to get that reoccurring monthly revenue every single month, but you just presented a loyalty program and they never thought about that because they thought, man, that would be really difficult. I'd have to hire a developer. And that's where you come back and you say, remember when I told you that we become your fractional development team? These are the types of things that me and my team do for you. And they're like, man, that's cool. And then it just becomes a natural growing business for you while and what Dustin said is the more stuff you can give to people, that HVAC company is going to go to his pool buddy that's a friend that he has beers with on Saturday and watch football and be like, dude, check this out. Watch. Look, I just got a client. Watch the AI. It's going to talk to them and I'm going to have a meeting set up. These guys, this girl, Kathy, she knows what the fuck she's doing. You should talk to her. I bet it would work for your pool company. And that's just how it turns out into all this stuff.
That I get nervous because I have a history of being that Kathy knows what the fuck he's doing. We just finished DreamWorks project for graphics and that stuff become that goal. But then this one I feel a little insecure. I knew but I didn't know. And that's why I'm actually going to have you on my first few calls so that I can understand the process like we discussed.
Mhm.
So I think it's I chat GPT all day long. I didn't think to go at GPT and ask what to put out works. Just wasn't thinking.
You cut out. It just cut out for a second. I don't know what happened.
I said I don't know why I didn't think chat GPT. Chat GPT all along. It just I wasn't thinking that I need to redirect your mind. When you get caught weeds. So
Looks
okay.
like Leo's got his hand up, Nico. But
Leo, what's
I know
up?
you can get to this, Catherine. This is approachable by anybody. Don't think you're going to be perfect the first time. Like
Yeah.
everything in life takes a few times to get great, you know. But
And
like I've seen literally people that I didn't think could learn to do this type of process. So it's a good one.
it's a great process. And I get it. And Nick also has a template. When he was showing how he does fills out the form, he also actually has a template that he shared. Remember, Nick, that has the little pieces that you fill out.
Uh,
Um, oh,
I'm here.
yeah, it's right there. One more question though. You had said that of Adam does the billing. Is he doing so is the system built in their system and not in your Go High Level system?
It's built in my system, but like they'll set up the billing, right? So when the milestones are completed, they tell me, "Hey Nick, go ahead and send your invoice out." I receive the money. They give me an invoice for what, I owe them from the build because they're building it, and then I just send them the money, and then, you keep the change, right? So
And,
that's your profit.
and what is the custom build? What is the custom build going to what is the monthly billing on most of the custom builds usually?
Say that one more time.
You know the monthly billing that you do for the custom builds, about what are you charging on the
Oh,
monthly
yes.
rate?
So it really depends on when you're in the sales call. One thing that I suggest that you ask is when you're doing your discovery of like building out the customer journey, because this will help you. This is important too, and that's a good question, is, Mr. Client, let me ask you a question. When you're selling this stuff, I mean, what's the average checkout price, right? Like if it's an HVAC installation, if it's an HVAC company, right? They might say like, you know, it's about 15, or a roofing company, it's 25 grand for a new roof. Cool. And you guys get to walk away with like 10 grand of that. Is that what you guys get to keep? That sounds like a really cool business, right? You're trying to discover what the amount of money that they're coming away with. And you're doing it in I wouldn't call it a sneaky way, but you're doing it in I need to know this because that's going to decide how much I'm going to charge you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they might say, yeah, we make about 10 grand off each roof. Cool. So you were talking about how you guys miss calls and your close, like if you had 10 people on a call, how many people do you think that you could close in that amount of time, right? And they'd be like, I don't know, five. So that's 50 grand right there. Cool. How many people are calling you, a week? Or are there times where you just miss business and they're like, yeah, all the time? How many would that be? It's probably like 10 a month. So you're telling me that you're missing out on 100 grand a month. And then they start to see it and they're like, damn, I never thought about that. But yeah, I'm missing out on 10 grand a month. So now
Mm-hmm.
you figured out, okay, now you have a benchmark. So and you repeat it to them. So, all right, let me get this clear. Because you guys don't have a system in place, you guys are missing 100 grand a month. Is that right? Like, does that sound about right after what we just talked about? And you can act dumb and play dumb and say, like, change your tone in your voice. And they're like, yeah, I didn't think of it like that. They'll tell you that they'll sound really like upset. And they're like, yeah, that's true. I think it might even be more than that, honestly, if I think about it. Because you know what? I don't even know how many calls Jeanette was on this week. Like, there's no way to measure it. Ah, okay. So we need to figure out a way so that you guys can measure stuff too, right? And they're like, yeah, that would be helpful. So at that point, now you know that it's 100 grand or more, right? So when you go to propose this and you on the final call after you get the stuff back from Adam and Brendan, it's like, all right, so I'm going to go through this. And the reason why we're going through this is because you guys are missing out. You start the conversation out like that. The reason why we're going to go through this is because you told me that you're missing out on 100 grand or more. And this right here is the system that's going to help you close those deals and lock in that 100 grand or more per month based off what you told me in the last conversation. So you set the tone right there. So the whole entire thing is about getting them 100 grand, right? And at the end, when you get to the price, you say, look, this is, to do this, it's going to cost 15 grand or it's going to cost 22 grand to do that. And then for the AI to help Jeanette Remember when you told me that Jeanette was missing out on stuff? We only want Jeanette to be on calls with qualified people. The AI is going to go out and do that. And this entire system, it costs, $9.97 a month, or it costs $3.97 a month. So they look at it like, for 22 grand, this is going to make me money in the first month, because they know their business the best, right? You don't even need to know their business. That's what they told you. You don't have to, you're just the messenger. So for 22 grand, I'm gonna make 100 grand. And for every month, I'm gonna pay $1,000 a month to make 100. Like that, who's not gonna do that, right? So that's why that video with Steven, he was like 10.107. That's nothing. Because he saw the value of like, man, $10,700. I'm gonna make, $1 million in the next year with this system. The reason why I haven't done that is because I don't have a system in place to do that. So the monthly reoccurring revenue, it becomes like, yeah, exactly, Jeff. Like the 1 million in lost opportunity per year, it's the missed opportunity the missed opportunity cost that, and then turns into a sale is like, well, so if we don't move forward with this, what are you going to do to make $1 million, right? And at that point, it becomes salesy. You have to use your sales tactics. But it's like, is there somebody else that needs to make this decision? Is it you and your wife? Okay, cool. Your wife supports you, right? This is support, the money that you guys make supports your family, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah. Well, what do you think that the questions she's going to ask you to make $1 million off of 20 grand investment, right? And they might say like, well, my wife just wants to make sure because we got ripped off by a developer and another thing. Ah, okay. What wasn't? So now you figure out the real reason. It had nothing to do with the money. It had to do with the trust between him and his wife, right? Like those are sales tactics that I can help you learn over time, but you start asking these questions and you discover the real reason. It had nothing to do with the money. It was the trust between, he doesn't want to get in an argument with his wife because they were ripped off previously, right? Whatever, I'm just making it up. And so that monthly reoccurring revenue, like the systems that I build, they do the same thing. I have a client, he's paying $800 a month. It's doing the exact same thing as the $197 a month thing, but they can't afford it because the checkout price is not, it's proportional to that, right?
No, I love how you do that because so many people are like, oh, it's $1,000 and it's just that. And I'm like, but if they can't afford $1,000, then it's not worth, you know, if you can give them the system at a lower rate and keep them as a consistent client. So I like how you do that. Well, thank you, Nick. And then on the final thing is that when you're with us coaching, do you take the 250 that we pitch to them? Or is it something that we split amongst each other? How does that work?
For the project scope document?
Yeah, if me and you or you and someone else are working together.
Well, in that situation, like the project scope document is going to work. There's two ways to do this. It's done for you, right? Which is joining the Go High Level Mastery partnership program, right? Which you basically send that project scope document to Adam and Brendan. They're not going to do the work without everybody being in the group. That's what we're paying for, right? We're paying them to do the work for us. Whereas if you're not in the group and you want to do these meetings, I suggest that you do, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings yourself, build out the project scope document yourself, or join the group, right? And join the partnership program. When you have enough people coming in like if you do 4 meetings, you paid for the partnership program yourself. Like you
Is
pay.
there is there any way that we can talk off meeting, sidebar this, so we can talk about it because so that I can, because some things I've shared personally with you, but I don't want all of YouTube space to
Yeah,
know.
of course. But if you want me to be on a meeting with you and help you do the project scope document meeting, I mean, if you charge 250, yeah, give me $100 and that's for my time. You can do the rest.
That's
Like
fair.
I don't mind doing that. I get $100 for doing what I'm doing already, right? Like it's just I'm on these calls every day, all day. And so it's like, yeah, just I'll share my calendar with you. We'll get on it, introduce me as, hey, this is Nick, he's my partner. We're gonna go through this activity and you'll learn as we go, right? If
That's
we're on
my goal.
5 calls, if we're on 5 calls, I have no problem doing that. I'll map it out for you and then just look at the template and you can just go back and organize it. It's going to take maybe 4, 5, 6 hours, however much it's going to take you to do it to present it back to the client, right? And at that point, if you sell it, great, sell it. And that profit from that one pays for your month of the partnership program so that you just get it for free and make some profit off of it so that now it's used as an asset. You have the clients paying for your development team to build for you, right? I think that's one thing that a lot of agency owners that get into this, they don't understand. They look at Adam and Brendan as like, that's too expensive. It's too expensive compared to what? If you wanted to go build out your team, it's going to take you 4 years to figure out what they've already done, and they have right there for you that you're paying $1,000 to have an entire development team right at your fingertips, right? I thought about that. I'm more than happy to give them 40% of my stuff of the sale to them because I can spend more time getting more clients and not worry about the build, right? Like it would be a whole entire new business that I would have to build to get to a point where Adam and Brendan are and do it internally. I could do that. I could, but I have no interest in doing that when I'm selling $90,000 in the past 5 months, and I got a $38,000 proposal out right now. Off 38 grand, I'll probably make like 18 grand. I'm fine with giving them money to do that. You know how long that would take me to build this entire system out? It would take me 9 weeks minimum. And
Hmm.
I probably couldn't, I'm not confident enough to
I,
do that.
I don't think it's expensive at all. I just sent you a private note so that you can know what my personal situation is, but it's not the expense thing. I hands down plan on joining it. Um, I plan, this is something that I feel like if you want to just sell and want to just build, this is probably one of the best situations that Nick has carved out and figured out for us compared to all the other programs, because there's other programs that show you how to get developers, but then you're having to piecemeal everything. Whereas
Yeah,
with
I
them,
don't
you
want to.
have it all right there, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's also a risk that people don't realize is here's a situation where you start piecing together developers.
Hey,
You,
Nico, I
yo,
want you to finish that, but I know Leo had his hand up for a little while, so make sure you get to
I
everybody.
will, I will, Leo, I'll get to you. I promise. This will be the last thing, and then we'll move into Leo, right? But here's something for food for thought: is when you start piecing together developers, and this happened with me in my Amazon stores because I had people working for me. You get the money from the client. Let's say it's $5,000 to get from the to do the build. You're sending that $5,000 to the developers. The developers, they cannot fulfill it. There's no agreement there unless you're putting the money in an escrow, but you're giving them money to build something. That client can change his business overnight or cancel it because someone passed away, something came up, and he can do a chargeback and he can get his money back. And now what happened is you're out 5 grand because you just paid them, and now all of a sudden you are the one that lost when you didn't mean to do anything. You were trying to run your business. And so that's a very real situation when you get into a $30,000 build and you're working with piecing together developers who you have to pay to get this project going. And then all of a sudden something changes on the customer side, they do a chargeback or they, do something to where now Stripe or the bank or a court is coming after you and you dished off the money to get that built. The developer still got to get paid because they're putting their money in, right? And so that's a very real thing that you can be in a situation when you're doing that you are the one that's losing and you didn't even mean to do anything. It just happened that way. That's something that's important. So, Leo, what's up, bro? Tell me what's up.
Hi, hi Nick and Dustin. Nice to meet you. My name is Leo. This is my first call with you. I have a few questions actually. Um, First off, I had a certain niche in my mind. Say gym owners or dentists. Um, but what I'm thinking is that the $10,000 bill is applicable for coaches or local service businesses as well. Because the reason why I'm asking this question is when I first saw one of your courses, you told to focus on uh, following or like focus on coaches. Like that is the reason I'm asking, like whether this $10,000 build is only for coaches or is it also for local service based businesses as well.
I'm going to show you a little graphic real quick that will explain this to where you become a chameleon, and this is going to make sense in a second.
Okay.
So this is a graphic that explains this pretty well. This cube is your agency. Most agencies are just a circle. These are
Okay.
your clients. They're a circle, a star, a square, a triangle, whatever. And so when you sell cookie cutter options,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a sustainable business because the churn rate will be high, as well as, you're trying to get them to conform into what you have for sale, and they
Mm-hmm.
see you as a salesperson. So
Okay.
with the process that I have really just created is you become any shape that your client is, and they tell you what they need built. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to charge more money. So for instance, VapiChat, right? I have a lot of clients that have used VapiChat. VapiChat is a cookie cutter approach to having AI for whatever business. But what is needed is a RAG AI model to pass off different sorts of situations inside behind the scenes when the AI is communicating, right? So for instance, that guy Steven, he has a medical clinic. That medical clinic has an EMR system where the patient comes through, they get their data, their name, their birth, their blood type, their all this stuff. Well, when they get sent out to the laboratory to do the blood test, that blood test has to return to the doctor's office, right?
Okay.
The AI is triggered from the first intake of the patient at the office. And then once that patient goes to the laboratory, there's a disconnect, right? So we have a separate AI chatbot that gets tagged when the response from the blood test and the results get uploaded into the EMR system so that the AI is now talking about their blood results, and they're not talking about their patient, documents. Once
Okay.
that happens, the memory from the AI uploads it into their new AI that gets transferred back to the doctor's office. I don't know if I explained that the best, but it avoids it. And if you've ever sold AI, you'll hear a lot of clients say, "Yeah, I'm almost close, but it's not that good." It's because the AI is hallucinating and it's trying to keep up with so many stuff, so many different, conversation uh, flows that we have to split it up. And so VapiChat, I mean, I'm sure that they will eventually build this out the right way, but it doesn't work for every single use case. And so this is a great starting point, but they are acting like the circle. They have a nice website, they have good marketing, they have a good demo right here, they have all this stuff, and it works for barbershops and dentist office and restaurants. But these guys are expecting to pay $97 a month because they can go they can go over to CloseBot and then they get $97, right? And so at that point, you start getting shitty clients. And I'll say it, you get shitty clients. You get $97 a month clients who complain. And Dustin's been there when I've had these clients that they're arguing with you. They're saying that, no, it's not working. And you go through them within 3 to 4 months and you put so much time and effort, so much work into it, even outside of it, because you're trapped. You're married to the client is like, oh, I need to get this done because he's not going to pay his $297 a month, but I can't go back to him and ask him for more money, even though I should. And it becomes a headache because you're trying to sell them something and you're this circle and you're the one that's losing. And so I hope that makes sense, but I've been in those situations, man. Like I was on Dustin's boat for the whole summer doing this stuff for a golf company and the most annoying woman in the world. And it was an absolute headache of trying to conform to or trying to make the client conform to what you have to do. This whole process of building out the project scope document and presenting it to them, it allows them to tell you what you need, and now you can have custom built software. And that custom built software just went from $297 a month to $10,000 a month. And I'm going to recommend 2 books to you. Dustin recommended these books to me, actually. One of them is called Ready, Fire, Aim. This is an amazing, amazing book. And the other book is on my shelf out there is 10X is easier than 2X. When you start working with clients who have $10,000 or $100,000, here's how the conversation goes. Hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, I just went through this. I'm going to give you the proposal. Okay, the final price for everything is $50,000. They're like, all right, cool. What's the wire transfer? Can you just send over the wire transfer stuff and I'll wire the transfer. I'll send the wire tomorrow by the latest. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you. Here's a $297 client. Hey, what's going on? We went through everything. It's $297 a month. Well, wait a second. What is the AI going to do? How often do I have to keep up with it? I don't like how it's going to say that. I don't know. Well, when are you going to be available? Can I get on a call with you later today to talk to my partner? Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we do this? And they want too much shit. That's the difference between 10X and 2X. When you start making more money is actually easier because you start attracting higher end clients. That's why I started charging $250 for this project scope document. Eventually, I'm going to raise it to $500. And I'll just keep raising my price because the people that I get on the conversations with will see, huh, this guy from Upwork is charging money. There must be something behind here that I don't see, right? And those 2 books are super, super powerful. And they changed my mindset. They changed everything that I have been doing. And Dustin and I have a mutual a friend. His name is Bobby. And he runs they call him Tax Jesus. And
Tax Jesus.
yeah, he structures everybody's businesses the proper way and your taxes and whatnot. And he started charging, I think it's $695 for an hour meeting. And he said when he started charging $695, his business skyrocketed because he was starting to work. And I'll tell you this, some of the people in this group that that we're associated with, there's people in there making $40 million a year. When he was doing this stuff for free, he was getting people in there that, are making $5,000 a month. And they're complaining, well, I don't want to make an offshore bank account and you're going to charge me $5,000. I found this guy over here that will do it for me for $800. Why do I have to pay $1,000? Right? The $40 million a year guy's like, dude, you're going to save me, $6 million in taxes by structuring it the correct way. Here's 40 grand. Do it. I don't care. I don't need to think about it. If you know how to do this, cool.
Yes.
Right? So I would read those books. Those books are extremely powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It'll change your mindset. And when you go into a dentist office, you can say, "Hey, Mr. Dentist, I charge $1,000 just to meet with me." He's going to say, "Why?" Because I get results. I make you more money. You can go and work with somebody else, but a like a a wonder factor behind it. What's on the other side of that $1,000? I'm going to pay it just to see. And if you can provide results, he's going to go and tell his other dentist. He's going to tell you, "Oh, dude, you know what? I also have a chiropractic business. I also have a law business that I didn't tell you about. I want you to do the same thing for these." Cool. Like
Yeah,
they,
I got it.
when you start getting into business stuff, people don't tell you everything right away. And then if you get them results, bigger doors open for you right there. Like they'll be like, I'm the head of the BNI group in the whole entire state. I can get you some business. You just changed my business. Like that stuff really happens.
Okay. So, so this $10,000 bill is for any business as long as as long as I find out they are missing out in opportunities, which could be like 50,000 or $100,000. That could
Wait,
be,
say that again?
yeah. This $10,000 or $20,000 bill is for any business as long as they have a missed opportunity which is more than what I'm charging. For example, if their missed
Oh,
opportunity is 50,000 or 100,000.
yeah, so I'll back up. So these 50 to these 10,000, $20,000 clients, I'm finding all on Upwork in YouTube comments. I'm
Mhm,
starting to mess around with Reddit. I just posted a Reddit post the other day. In
mhm,
48 hours, it got 1.4 million views. And I actually got 2 leads for my real estate business here that I don't even operate anymore. And I passed it off to a buddy of mine. It was wild. And I think Reddit is super, super, super underrated. I don't know how to use it completely to get business, but I'm discovering it. And there's ways to find these people. These people are not cold leads. They are not people that don't know what they need. They know
mhm,
exactly what they need, and they need a CRM software. They want an AI chatbot. They need automations. They sometimes already use Go High Level, or they use HubSpot, or they're using Salesforce, or they're using Pipedrive, or they're using something. They know. They just don't know how to get it organized and build
mhm.
it. And
All
so
right.
that little cube example is you building out the project scope document for them to tell you exactly what they need. And that's where you charge more money for it.
Okay. For example, let's say like for um, a client wants a landing page or a website. Um, is there any specific pricing for a website, or the build and the entire build comes up, the $10,000 bill comes up with the landing page or a website?
In those conversations, I take it a step further. So, Mr. Client, what is this landing page going to do for you? Like, how are you going to is it important to you to keep track of how many people go here? Like, are you spending money on ads, right? So you want a return on ad spend. What if are you keeping track for every dollar you put in? Are you getting $5 back? And they're going to start to think and they're going to say, no. Or maybe they're going to say, yeah, cool. Are you for sure getting $5 back for every $1? How much does it cost for someone to be on a phone call with you? And then you start going further and further, and they're going to say, no, I don't know. Okay, the reason why I ask is because on your screen, on your Facebook ads dashboard, you're seeing that you're getting leads for $7. That's great. You're getting those leads. How many
Mhm.
times does it how many times has a client told you, "Hey, can you follow up with me in like 2 months or 3 weeks or 6 months?" Does that ever happen? Yeah, it happens all the time. So, okay, so basically you're telling me your dashboard's telling me that you got $7 leads. Are you following up with those people in 6 weeks? Are you
Mhm.
following up with those people in 6 months? The answer is probably no,
Mhm.
not really. They don't have a system in place. Okay, so your dashboard's telling me that you're getting $7 leads, but really you're probably getting $25 leads because you just told me that you're not following up with them. So not only do you need a website, you might need some way to keep track of things. Would you be open to exploring that? And they would be like, huh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I thought I just needed a website. And so now you start to upsell them. And when you start to upsell them, they're starting to see the problems that they have. And it always reverts back to this project scope document. That is your record of
Mhm.
everything. And when they see that they have that you are able to do that and you're not just some guy that builds out a website,
Mhm.
they start to think of you as someone that's hired, a consultant. And when you start to become a consultant, it always comes back to more money because you're providing the results to them that they don't know that they need because
Mhm.
of the questions that you started asking them, right? And so my challenge to you, Leo, would be stay away from people that just need one-off little things because they're looking for just that, little things. They're
Okay.
looking they're looking for some guy that's going to just give them a deal. You know, one guy gave him a quote at $1,000 and you would do it for $500, right? Half the price. And then you find yourself in this situation where you're trapped. You're trading your time for money, right? And when you trade your time for money, you can't scale. And if you can't scale, you get burnt out. You say, I tried that agency thing and it didn't work out. And then you go on to drop shipping, and then you go on to Amazon stores, and then you go on to Airbnb, and then you go on to a coaching program, and you do this and you do that, and everybody's telling you, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, the problem is that you didn't focus on high-end clients. Because if you started getting $10,000 a month websites being built, then you're gonna not stop doing that because you're making 10 grand, right? You can the same amount of money that you, Dustin, I'll see you later, bro. Oh, look at that. You get fireworks for that one. When you start focusing on the higher end clients, you don't get burnt out. You get excited. You're like, damn, dude, I just sold a website for 10 grand. Like same website that I could have sold for, 600 bucks, right? It's that 10x is easier than 2x. So when you start raising your bar, you start making more money. Now, what comes of that? Like, what do you need to be able to do that? You need to be able to speak and portray yourself
Mhm.
as somebody that knows how to do that, right? And so when I go back and I look at my journey of being I call it failing for a year and a half in this group with Adam and Brendan,
Mhm.
really, it wasn't a failure because I learned so much shit. I had to pay $297 a month to do it. But at the end of the day, I can walk into any customer, any client meeting. I went on a call with Jeff. He was here. Jeff brought a client in and he's freaking out. Yo, bro, I need to tell you, I need to tell you what we spoke about and how this went. And I'm like, no, bro, you don't need to talk about it. I got it. Right. And like I go into the meeting, I don't need to know anything because I know how to convey the message properly because I learned all this go high level stuff previously. And when you have a foundation of the knowledge, you can speak highly on it. I did it in my medical device company. I don't
Mhm.
think you were on call. I used to walk circles around doctors. I knew every clinical trial. I knew the proteins that the machine would go in the mRNA and the section of the cell. And they would look at me and they would be like, "How do you know this?" And they would come to me, Nick, if I have a patient that has an HSIL on their pap test, but I don't see anything during the colposcopy, what does ACOG say, which is the governing body of the regulations? Like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to do a biopsy, but I also need to do it. But this girl's only 24 years old and she's never had a baby. And I don't know if I should cut a piece out of her cervix if I can get the test. And they would put that on me. And I'm like, dude, I can't make a medical decision. He's like, yeah, but you know. And I'm like, dude, I can't
I
do that.
don't know.
Oh, and they trusted me because I knew what I was talking about. And they would call me. I mean, I've actually had doctors years later call me and be like, Nick, are you still working at Hologic? Are you still around? I have a question. What does ACOG say for this? And I'm like, man, I haven't done that in like 6 years, man. I don't know. I'm not there. But when you start to build the foundation of the knowledge, you and you can speak on it and you're not bullshitting them. And if you don't know the answer to the question, and you tell them, let me go and find that out, then you can come back to them. It does two things. It gives them it earns your respect from them because you allowed yourself to be vulnerable and say, I don't know the answer to that. You went and got the answer, and now that's going to be retained for the next conversation that you have with a different client that question comes up, and then you revert like, oh man, and you tell the new client, man, let me tell you a story. And this is what Alex Hermosi teaches. He teaches this framework, and I've been using this, but I'm not good at frameworks. I just know it. I don't know how to convey it. But Alex Hermosi does this all the time. On his YouTube videos of sales, he'll say like, defer the question to somebody else that you had successful, or someone that wasn't successful. And in this case, you'd be like, one of my best performing clients actually asked this question, and I didn't know the answer a couple months ago, and I went and talked to my developers, and he told me this. So I can speak on this. And what that does is it frameworks like, wait, his best customer asked the same question that I asked. I want to be like that. And you don't know this, but from a psychological standpoint, when you frame it as my best client asked the same exact question 3 months ago, it puts in his thing that he's thinking like the best customer that's been successful. And you're no longer selling. You are selling, but you're telling them, if you want to be the best customer, you asked a similar question. I didn't know that. You're being vulnerable again. You're telling him that you really did ask that question to your boss or your developer or whoever. And now you're able to speak on that. And that happens over and over and over again. So when you get into situations where people ask you questions and you don't know, it's a really good thing because you can go to the next client and you can say the same thing and revert back to like, man, one of our best clients, actually, one of our highest paying clients asked this question, right? And they're like, wow, I asked the same question as the highest paying guy. Man, these guys must be really good at what they do. And it just trickles down. I mean, that's kind of like psychological mind, NLP language type of stuff in sales, but it works. And I've done it many, many times. And there's some videos from Alex Hermosi that he's talked about this, and I just do that stuff. I didn't know that that was like a thing. I mean, I knew it was a thing, but I don't know how to teach it or explain it. But Alex Hermosi breaks it down in these formats that are easy to understand. I have to find the video. He's standing in front of a whiteboard in like a dark room, and he explains it. But it's it's a really, really good way to do that. But my suggestion is stay away from
Okay.
like cheap clients. Cheap clients are just going to give you cheap results, and you're going to find yourself in this circle of nonsense back and forth. They're going to cancel in 3 months and whatnot. Like that guy, Steven, he gave me 3 businesses. Between all three was probably like 25 grand, and he pays $400 a month for each one. And so, those are the types of clients that you want.
400 is for like for the GHL sub account or
Yeah, for the whole entire so he pays $497 a month for his own GHL account, and then he
okay.
pays us to use our IP, which is what we built them, plus the AI engine, which
Okay.
is API integrations for the AI to do this. So he pays, I think it's $497. It could be $397, it could be $297. I don't know I don't know exactly how much it is. But my point is like he's never going to leave because
Okay.
his entire business runs on it. So that's $297 a month or $497 a month for me per client. He's one client, but he has 3 businesses, right? So
Okay.
per business, he's paying that. So it's like, whatever, $700 or $1,200 altogether for
Mhm.
that. But he's not going to leave. I have Google Drive, right? I've been paying $2.95 a month for Google Drive to store all my documents forever. I'm not going to leave. It's always going to be $297. Google sells. I mean, I even have 4 Google Drive accounts. I'm probably paying $297 because one email has this, then it expired or ran out of space. I don't want to lose the stuff in there. It would take me way more time to download all the stuff and $297. I don't care. I pay $297 a
Yeah.
month for 5 different Google accounts. It's the same concept.
So 10,000 is a setup fee. $10,000 build is a setup fee, and then on top of that there is a monthly fee, which is for the GHL. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. All right. So my second question is, how do I find like uh, they have a missed out opportunity, like they are missing out $50,000 or $100,000 a month on opportunity.
When you're going through the project scope document, right?
Okay.
So you came in a little bit later than Bob when I was talking about Bobby, when I was talking to Bobby about this.
Uh-huh.
Is your goal is just to get people on a $250 project scope document. That's it. That's all you got to
Okay.
do. If
All
you
right.
start if you start getting people on this project, you bought the course from what you found me on a webinar or wherever. You bought the course. In that course, I have all of the calls. I have all the training stuff of how to do this properly, right? And so your goal, literally, is just get people to buy a $250 meeting from you to do the project scope document, right?
Okay.
$250 times 4 people, that's $1,000 just to have 45-minute meetings. That's it. That's a business, that's an entire business in itself, right? If you can
That's
get
actually
really good at that. From that, you're gonna at least have one person that pays you 10 grand out of those 4 meetings. My goal for you is to get at least 2 to 3, right? During that project scope document, you're gonna be talking to the client and they're gonna tell you their customer journey. And they're gonna say the first section is always new lead.
okay.
Where did this lead come from? It came from Facebook ads, it came from a webinar, it came from a missed phone call, it came from a QR code they scanned in the newspaper, whatever, right?
Okay.
Cool. The next question is, how often do you guys get leads that you're not able to follow up with or whatever? And what happens with that lead? Where do you direct them next, right? Because that would be the next stage in their pipeline, right? And so at that point, they're going to tell you, I don't know. There's actually a lot of people that we miss. If I miss a phone call, okay, what do you think what do you think that potential business opportunity went and did? They're going to say, they probably went to the next guy on Google. I don't know. Yeah, that sucks, man. Like that's what we were going to build. That's what we're going to build out right here. Let me ask you a question. What's the average checkout price for these new leads? Like if you get a lead that comes in, how much do they end up paying you for like the ideal customer journey? Like they became a lead, your sales guys were on it, and then you close the business. If it's a roofing company, maybe 25 grand. Damn, 25 grand. You guys
25 grand. Oh,
well, no, yeah,
yeah.
you play dumb. You guys make 25 grand
25
every
grand.
roof. I should quit my job and just be a roofer. And they're gonna say, no, no, we don't make 25 grand. We have materials. Oh, okay. I thought you guys were making 25 grand, right? You're playing the game. You're trying to get how much they make. Oh, I thought I was gonna start. I was gonna tell you, no, dude, I'm not doing this anymore for you. I'm gonna just become a roofer, right? You can play a joke, you can make a joke. They're gonna say, no, no, no. We probably walk away with like 8 or 9 grand off that. That's about what we make. Okay, okay, damn, dude, I was about to become a roofer, right? So now you have 8 grand. That's what they make off each roof. And you keep going a little bit further. Okay, so you told me that basically, you do miss calls. Your close rate, what? If 10 people called you, how many people end up getting a roof? 3. Okay, 3 people. So if you had more calls, if you got 20 people to come in, then basically you could probably close 10. Would that be right? Like give them a scenario where they have to choose. Don't make them think. So, right. So, okay, let's say you answered 20 calls. Do you think you could close 10 if there was a system there? Okay, cool. So now you have between 10 and 3. So then you can start playing little math games and you say, okay, so basically you're telling me that you're missing 7 calls a month out of that, right? And you're making 8 grand. So you're missing out on 56 grand, right?
Ah,
You give them an option to choose. So if you had 20 calls, you're telling me that out of 10, you're only closing 3. But if you had more people to answer out of those 10, if you had a system in place out of that 10, you think you could close like 7 or 8? And they'd be like, yeah, okay, so the difference between 8 and 3 is 5. 5 times 8 is 40. So you're missing out on 40 grand a month just because you don't have this. And they would be like, so that's how you do it, right?
All right.
You're kind of playing dumb, you're making jokes, but you're trying to get the answer to that, because at that point now you have your benchmark of, oh, okay, and they start to see it like, damn, I'm missing out on 40 grand. So when you go to build this, you can say, hey, when you go to present the document, you're presenting the document, right? Now you built out everything. When you go into that meeting, you say, hey, look, so, Mark, what's up, man? It was good talking to you the other day. I'm super excited to go over this because if I remember correctly, you guys were missing out on 40 grand a month, and this is going to fix that. So I want to put 40 grand a month in your pocket. So I'm going to go through this step by step. I'm going to show you what me and my developers did. We went through, we looked at all this, we watched the recording, and this system is pretty much on par based off what you told me, that you guys are going to make 40 grand a month from this, and this is how we built it. And so you tee it up so that when you go through that document line by line, at the end, there's going to be a timeline. There's going to be a week worth of us being on a Zoom call. There's going to be 6 weeks of building it out. We're going to do the support. We're going to test it, and we're going to give you all the SOPs. And at the end, you're going to say, look, so for everything, we can break this up in milestones, but it's $20,000 to get this done. So we need 50% up front, and then the remaining amount will be delivered at the end, when we deliver it and we go through this whole timeline. And they're gonna either take that in, but you teed it up the whole time. They're thinking, I'm gonna make 40 grand a month. What's 40 grand a month if you pay 20 grand up front? It becomes irrelevant. The price becomes irrelevant because they're the ones that told you they're missing out on 40 grand. You didn't tell them. So the whole time they're waiting for you to get on that meeting, they're like, man, if this guy can make me 40 grand, my whole life changes. I can go on vacation again. I can play golf. My kids can go to private school, whatever they're thinking about. 20 grand means absolutely nothing to them because 40 times 12, 12 times 4 is what, 38? They're making 380. Yeah, they're making 360 grand a year extra on top of what they're already making because they didn't have this system. And at that point, that's what I'm telling you is these are high-end clients now because you've put a value on your software that you're building for them because they told you how much that they're missing out through your questioning. Does that make sense? I
Yeah, it
know
makes
that's
sense.
long. I know that's long, but that's how
But
I'm closing. That's exactly how I'm closing these deals.
all right. It makes sense now. Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to make confirm is that any client or any prospect that never pays $250 for the proposal is a shitty client, correct?
Yeah, it's just a qualification mechanism. You just
Yeah.
saved yourself 3 hours worth of Zoom calls.
Yes.
Guy to tell you
Yes.
at the end, like, nah, bro, this is too expensive. Don't do that. Just charge
Uh,
them. If they give you pushback on the 250, sometimes they do. This is what you do. No worries, I do this all the time. If we decide to work together when I give you the price, I just take 250 off, so it's free. There's no risk for you. And they're like, oh, okay. Have I ever given $250 off on that once they sign up? No, they've never even asked about it. They completely forgot because they're so engraved on,
what
damn,
they're missing.
I'm gonna make 40 grand on this. They've
Yeah.
never asked, oh, well, wait a second, dude. You told me this is $10,250. It should be 10,000. Take the 250 off. Okay, I'll take 250 off. You're gonna pay me 250 a month. I'm gonna make it back. Like, okay, whatever. But no one has ever said that.
All right. All right. So my last question for today would be like, what are the hot niches? Like, what niches should I go in? Like, roofing is one of the niches that I'm thinking.
Don't think like that.
Okay.
Go back to that little cube. Be a chameleon and
Okay.
work with whoever needs a system.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
I have worked with capital raising firms.
Uh-huh.
I've worked with medical clinics. I've worked with roofing agencies. I have school coaches, like in school with One of them is a Amazon e-com coach. The other one is a credit repair coach. I've worked with I have this tax consultants,
Oh,
insurance auctions. This guy, he goes out to insurance companies. I didn't close him. He was complaining about the $250 actually.
okay.
He goes and purchases he goes to insurance companies and he says, "Hey, you have seized goods like a boat. Maybe a boat was in a storm. It's like what is it called when you get in a car? A total like a salvage title? A salvage title. That's what it is. He goes to the insurance companies and tells them, "Hey, we have an auction that you can list your salvaged like a boat, a helicopter, an airplane,
Uh-huh.
a motorcycle, a car, whatever, on our platform." And you know, people will come in and buy a boat that was in a hurricane that has a hole in the side and they can repair it, but they get a, $1 million boat for 200 grand and it costs 150 grand to fix it, right? Whatever. Um, I mean, I never would have niched down and been like, I'm going to work with insurance auction companies. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, right?
Okay.
And so, but he needs a system, and the system was the insurance company needs to upload photos. They need to send over the title. They need to make a username and a password inside the auction on the back end so that they can upload all of that. And then they need to put like, it's like eBay. When you list something on eBay, basically they're just listing on eBay, but they needed a system and process to do that. What he was doing is like sending an email back and forth to the guy. Then the guy, wouldn't follow up or wouldn't respond because it's back of mind. He's out there going and selling insurance policies. Like, they didn't have a system in place to do it. And he's not selling anything. He's actually trying to make the insurance companies money by just getting rid of stuff in a warehouse or a junkyard or something, and they can make money off the stuff that's just sitting there. So we didn't work together. But I mean, I sold him the $250 document. I spent 45 minutes to make 250 for him to tell me no. It was what it was. I still got paid.
Okay. Got it.
So I
So,
wouldn't I wouldn't niche down. I
okay.
don't I wouldn't niche down in this.
Okay. So this build also include ads management, like Facebook ads, running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, or is it separate?
No. And I'll back up even further. The best clients already have a business in place. Do not go and work with people that are trying to build a business from a hobby that they have. And that's important because what happens is that like Jeff, yeah, Jeff just raised his hand. When you start working with clients, if they don't have an influx of leads coming in and they don't have a business,
Uh-huh.
again, it comes back to, that's too expensive. I can't afford that. They don't understand. Don't work
Okay.
with people. Ask them and ask them straight up, like, how, are you guys making money? Do you guys have a lead process in place? Now, if they don't, you can go through and get the 250 and do that. I wouldn't cancel them out because you don't know. They might tell you no, but they also might have a lot of money. Yeah, Jeff, go ahead, say something.
Yeah, I had a guy. We just Nick got on a call with him with me last week, and I didn't charge him the $150. I waived it, and we sat on that call for an hour as Nick convinced him, and he convinced himself that he wanted to buy this and purchase the proposal, which I set up. I spent hours to build the proposal, and then he didn't even want to buy it because he's busy trying to figure out his business right now. Because he does also have a ride share, which is his side up to his business as an IT expert. It was a
Yeah.
waste of time.
I would not waive the 250. I would stand or the 150 or whatever. That 150 or 250 is a very important concept inside the sales structure. And the reason being is because if you don't charge the 250, they have no desire to come back and can ghost you after you did the work for them because they don't have any incentive to come back, right? And so if you and it makes you turn into a salesman. They have, yeah, like Jeff said, they have no skin in the game. And so if you waive that fee, you now start playing this follow-up game and you become a salesperson. And you're like, hey, I just want to let you know I finished this document. Do you want to get on a call? Here's my calendar. They have the option of just not working with you, and then you just put in 4 hours hoping that the guy was going to show up. When they pay, they have skin in the game to come back to you and sit down and listen to the proposal, right? And so if you don't, what's it called? If you don't charge a fee, then you're wasting your time. And two, you're probably dealing with someone that can't afford it. So Jeff learned the hard way. We got on the call, he didn't pay 250. He was like, yeah, I want this. And yeah, and Jeff said it validates your professionalism. It does, it really does. The charging the 250 is either are you serious or are you not? Because I don't work with not serious people. It's that simple. So all right, Bobby, what's up? We gotta. This has been 2.5 hours.
Well, I know I looked at the link and like I said, when I was in the mastery thing, I will listen to a lot of that stuff, but I didn't go through and finish that link and I don't know if I can find it again. I may want to go on and get your list of stuff and go through it.
Yeah, I sent you guys the link in here for it. It's just nlbuilds.com/go. I don't know.
That was the webinar, wasn't it?
No, this is like after the webinar. So I'm starting to run. Ah, shit. I gotta put this to everyone.
I looked at the thing, I think I looked at it before and it was like, what was it, 80 something dollars or something like that?
Yeah, you can go through that. That's no problem. Yeah, they're both the same. One of them is for after the webinar, and one of them is just for this.
I can't seem to get that thing to click.
If not, I can help you after this. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Was that your only question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff, what's up, bro?
No, I just had a quick question.
There's two Jeffs in
Oh,
here.
my bad.
King
No,
White, go ahead, bro. Off you
Yeah.
go.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my question was just on because I've been going in Upwork. What are you saying in the proposal? Like, are you just saying like a tad bit of what they're asking for, which is related to what you're going to do, what you would like to do for them, or are you telling them flat out that you're going to charge a 250 for the meeting, or what exactly?
So it's like the dating game, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't walk up to a girl and say, "Hey, I want to take you out on a date, but you got to pay 250."
Okay.
You're buying dinner,
All
right?
right.
So you work backwards. That meeting, that initial email. Here, I'm just going to share my screen and show you the ones that I've done successfully instead of explain it. I don't. That makes more sense.
Like, if they say, hey, we're looking for a chatbot that's doing appointment setting for websites, like, or chatbot that's on WhatsApp or a chatbot that's created like this, like, are you telling them what we can already create or?
Yeah, I'll just show you. Like, this is one that I sold. So this is a successful thing. Let's see how this played out. Damn it. All right, let me go to Ken. Upwork makes a separate conversation when you have a contract from the initial one.
Okay.
Let me show you. What the hell is going on?
Because you have to send them a cover letter proposal first, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to show you.
Okay.
So, you know what? Maybe this guy sent me a proposal. Okay. So all right. So this was his proposal. Okay. So I saw this, right? So I'm going to show you. This is what I look at. He has spent 28,000 and his average is $96 an hour, right? Which I don't care about that.
Okay.
I put $40 an hour in here and all I did, oh, this is when, so Upwork took this away. They had this little
Yeah.
beta testing,
Video.
which I wish they actually put this back, but I'll play it for you so you can listen to it. But this is the proposal that oh shit. This is the proposal that he had listed here. I'm seeking an experienced AI developer to assist in creating a digital version of myself. Oh, this is great. I forgot about this. So what they think they want is not always what they need. Okay. So he didn't even buy this. I forgot about this. We're not even building anything about a AI version of himself. We're building a completely different thing. I'm seeking an experienced AI developer to assist in creating a digital version of myself that can engage with customers via text or messaging platforms. The ideal candidate will have a strong understanding of AI technologies, blah, blah, blah. Your role is going to involve designing, programming, and implementing conversational AI, right? So he thought that he wanted it of himself. So I came here and I just said, I recorded a quick video for you to see. I think that's a cool option that Upwork actually added. This was like the first one. So the case study is here that I'm referring to in here, and I have a deep understanding and knowledge. I have no idea what I said, but we can watch this video. It's 2 minutes. I don't know if we have to watch the whole thing, but that's weird. There's a button there that I can't click to play.
No, it's all good.
I have a deep understanding of different types of AI models. I've created AI for medical clinics, large pre-IPO companies and 506 C raises. In fact, we raised over $973,000. 673,000 of that came specifically from AI chatbots, and we did that in 10 days. I see that you're looking to basically have your persona or your way of speaking mimicked inside an AI chatbot to answer questions. I assume they're coming from some sort of funnel. You're overwhelmed, you're busy, but you know that those leads might be slipping through the cracks. I use something inside a CRM software that we custom built. We have direct API connections, and it comes down to the prompting and really figuring out what you are looking for. That consists of us jumping on a call for maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we can schedule some sort of other phone call if that works and you decide that you want to move forward with us creating the AI chat. And then we start with a project scope document. That project scope document is essential. And even if you don't work with me, really, it's essential for anyone else to even give you a price of how much it would cost to build something like this. I don't know off the top of my head right now from reading your description what exactly you need. Do you have a website? Do you have forms? How does the AI get triggered? What is basically everything that we need to build. So it's a pleasure to film this. This is the first time I've ever filmed for Upwork. So let me know what you would like to do. I can shoot over my calendar to you. We can jump on a quick call, just go from there and figure out kind of what the game plan is so that we're both on the same page. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Okay, so that was my initial reaching out to that thing, right? I paid 50 connects for it. So 50 times 15 cents. So I spent $7.50 to land a $12,500 client. That's what I did. And I got paid $250. So for $7.50 to land a $12,500 client, that's what I said. Now, that's the first time I've watched that video since this happened. I don't know when this happened. This happened November 12th. So I do want to explain some of the stuff there because this will help with the framework of how you do this, right? Is when you're reaching out to these people, obviously, if you're in the group and you have this, like if you have all of my my course material, you can use the same case study. We're using the same team to build all of this. So you can say like, we have built an AI that has generated over $973,000 in 10 days. I did that for a client of mine. I should have charged a lot more money than what I charged, right? But that I qualified myself, and I also played dumb. I also never mentioned anything about Go High Level. I said we use a CRM system that we build this in. The reason why I do that is because if someone has had a bad taste in their mouth from Go High Level, and I say that, I instantly disqualify myself. So I keep everything super broad. It's the same way that when you go and you date somebody, right? If you have children before it, and I'm making this up, I have no idea. I don't have children, but like if you went and you met a girl at a bar and you were like, yeah, I just broke up with my ex-wife and I have 2 kids. She's like, nah, I don't want you, right? If you keep it broad and you're just like, yeah, let's go to dinner. I think you're cute. You don't tell her, and then she gets to know you, and then over time she learns the situation that you were in. Maybe your ex-wife, I don't know, she was a murderer, and I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, but like you don't start out with that, right? You just keep it natural and you keep it open. And then at the end there, I said, I don't really know how you would like to move forward with this. If you want, I can shoot you my calendar. You can respond here. Like you don't want to do that. But I also explained the process. And I think that's super important because a lot of other freelancers are there trying to sell. Hey, I can do this. We have a whole team. We can do this. We can do that. We can do this. The price is really like, $5,000. We've done this for that, and this. And, we're building our own AI and we can use 11 labs and we can put you in there and then we'll put it over here. It's like, whoa, bro. No, right? You just keep it very casual, very human-like, non-salesy. You qualify yourself. You tell them a little bit about how you operate. You give them an expectation of what it looks like, and then you give them the process, and then you turn it on to them and say, I don't really know how you want to move forward from here. I'm more than welcome. I'm more than happy to shoot you my calendar. Let me know if that is of interest, and I look forward to hearing from you. Right? And it starts a conversation. So my assumption is that he watched that video and he was like, oh, all right, this is worth just taking a call, right? That's it. You're not selling anything. I didn't say anything about Go High Level. I didn't say anything. Well, I did talk a little bit about AI because that's what he was looking for, but you keep it extremely broad with a call to action to get them on a call. That call he's scheduled. I ask him. Yeah, you can see it. It's in the thing. You could go watch the video. Like
It's
literally.
in the sales,
Yeah.
the
This is
videos. Okay.
this is Ken right here. So he responded to that. I gave him my calendar, and then he comes over to here. Whoops, to memberships. Let's see if I have it right here. No, it's gonna be in here. He comes over to you can let me just get to it before I start talking nonsense. So he came there, and then I had a conversation with him. I let him speak. It was 26 minutes. I let him speak. So tell me what's up. He was like, I wrote some books. I did this. Actually, I could just go down to the bottom here. Oh, I didn't put the thing in there. He tells me like, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that, blah, blah, blah. I have these problems, and I'm just sitting there listening. And he's like, yeah. And then, I'm telling him, okay, this is what we do. I have done this for multiple people. The best way to do it is we do a project scope document, and then I probably share my screen here and I show him basically what the project scope looks like. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did. I should have. But I tell him, look, I build out this project scope document. It gives you 2 options. You can hire me and I can give you a price. From there, if you don't want to work with me, then you just take this document and you and you go find another developer. He actually told me straight up, I am in Russell Brunson's circle. I pay a lot of money to be in there, and I have a lot of connections with other entrepreneurs. And what I usually do is I go through the process first. And if you perform well on this, I can introduce you to a lot of high-end people in that group. And I was like, hell yeah, dude, I would love to work with you. Like, let's do it. So this, then I do that. And then he actually has two businesses. He has two businesses, and this project scope document creation was actually the longest one I've ever done. It was 2 hours. We went through and I built out project scope for, first company. He has a B2B and a B2C company. And then I built out the second one. See, says, I don't know if you can see it, but it says pipeline B. That's for the second B2B company. Built that out and then came back to him and gave him the price of 12,500, and he came over here, and then where would it be? It would be here. Yeah, partially paid. He's paid 50% of it, and we're in the process of building it out. And then I have a email somewhere where Nick is working on all of the stuff. So they're working on it, and it'll be done in maybe like 4 weeks from now. So you know what I should do? I should figure out how I can download these videos. I can. I'm gonna start putting these videos in the course. I didn't think about that. So that way you have that's actually a great idea. I should put the outreach above this. I never thought about that. How you go and reach out to these people.
Yeah, so
I'm
are you charging them the 250 in the like, obviously you charge him 250 once he gets on the call, but how's that working on Upwork? Like, do you
Yeah.
show that you're okay.
So on Upwork, let's go to the messages, right? So we had the meeting and I said, good chatting with you, man. Have a safe trip back to Atlanta. I guess he was going to Atlanta. Here's the link that we can get started. So that first call, I closed him on the $250 document. I give him my Upwork profile link to pay the $250. So they go here and they purchase the $250 thing, and my calendar is linked to it, right? And so at that point, I said my calendar is always up to date. And he goes, okay, I scheduled for Wednesday. Do you go through that link or just so he just went on my calendar and then he canceled it, I guess. And then I sent it to him again. And he said, well, shit, did the card run have time right now? Scheduled, see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching out. So I guess I don't know. I don't remember those little details, but then he booked it. And then I said, hope you're having a great weekend. I'll have everything organized this week for us to catch back up and go through everything. I just landed in Dallas. I'm meeting a large client. I'd imagine you and I can connect mid-time this week. I'll keep you posted. And then he said, okay, safe travels. And then in the other chat, because once they book this chat, once they pay for it, it opens up another chat because it's on the contract, not the proposal. So the other chat has the other conversation. He liked it. I gave him the price. We close out the contract here, right? So you'll see we closed out the contract. He paid it. He ended it. He paid 250 bucks. I might have gotten a review from him. Some people don't leave the reviews. I don't know. And then, that gets added to my profile as, I've done 7,600 bucks here. And that's it. And then that contract is closed. I'm done with Upwork because I did the work that Upwork requires, because a contract has to be completed on Upwork to avoid being kicked off and the communication outside. Now that he has that, I open up my own contract with my company in my Go High Level account. So he is no longer associated with Upwork because we closed out the 250. I did it. Upwork can't tell me, well, no, you can't, you have to do the other thing. No, your terms and conditions, I followed your rules, right? And
So you're met now. I mean, after you do the 250 proposal, you're messaging him email or through SMS or something, I assume, off of Upwork.
yeah, what I have actually,
I'm
which
sorry to
is,
ask all that, but I'm
no,
just
it's
trying to get.
okay. What I have done actually is I just made a website with my calendar that actually makes them put their phone number and their email into my calendar, and I have their contact information from Upwork. I don't know if that's legal, but that's what I have. So
Okay.
I just send them this link and they come here and they pick a time and it books it through my Go High Level, not on Upwork, but I still keep
Okay.
the communication on Upwork.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
So I'm actually capturing the leads, and it's kind of smart because I'm not going to show everybody people's phone numbers in my
Yeah.
contacts, but now I can sort it because once this gets
Submitted.
submitted, it adds a tag of potential client. And so now I can do a DVR campaign later on for all the people on Upwork, and I can go back and say, hey, we spoke. How's everything going for you? Because maybe they didn't listen to me and go through that process and their shit's a mess. And I can come in and be like, told you so, you idiot.
I appreciate that, Nick. I'm just squaring away at sending out proposals right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend some time this week to get I'll do like section 0 would be how to reach out to people on Upwork. I never actually thought about that. I didn't think I could download those videos. I'll put all that stuff in there so you can watch it and understand how to reach out to these people on Upwork. That's a good idea. It's gonna take me some time. I gotta sit down and download the videos and it's
No
okay.
worries,
It's
man.
okay. It's okay, but
That's good enough. Appreciate you.
all right, I gotta call it quits. It's almost been 3 hours. I played golf all day. I haven't eaten. Been doing this for 3 hours. If anybody wants to join that group and get into the course, just click nlbuilds.com/go and you can join it. Bobby, I'll hit you up and we'll talk later, right?
Okay, that'd be great.
All right. Good talking to everybody.
Thanks, Nick. Have a great night.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
guys
Thank
too.
you, man.
Okay.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your help.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.